blind ambition. If you got a match, just go ahead and light it. I wanna see where this is going. We're done with playing games, not knowing, yeah. We've nothing to lose.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a bit of a long day, but we've got one more best of three still to be played between Wildcard and Okami. Welcome back on in. Of course, this is a big one, but at the very least, whoever does lose is not going to be out of the playoffs.
That's exactly the case. Of course, the nature of the double elim bracket means that the teams that do progress into the second round, these teams being exactly that, do have that second chance, but I think they'll still be fighting very, very hard to maintain that position at the top of the bracket.
Obviously, I think coming into this as well, Wildcard certainly are going to be favored. Okami did look good, though, against Noble 2-0 about 4 hours ago, roughly. I think it was that it finished about 4 hours ago. So they're also fresh. I mean, is that also going to be potentially a bit of an advantage for Okami? They've already played a best of three today. They won that. They're looking good, bit of form. It would be an upset to be able to defeat Wildcard, that's for sure. But Okami are in form. Why not? Why can't it happen now?
100%. I think Okami are probably the best we've seen them in a while. Yes, historically, Okami, or when they were previously known under banners such as Mindfreak, have often been one of, if not the best team sort of in the region, throwing it up against some of the other teams that are up there. But unfortunately, they did start off quite rough this season, but they have recovered very, very well. And the 2-0 against Noble earlier today is a very good sign.
Have a look at the lineup for Okami LFO. Of course, don't forget they are looking for an organization. Jack Dad, Joker, Cutie, Spacker, Ippy Style. These guys have been here before. They've gone and done it, and we've technically got the grand final rematch from Six Masters.
Yeah, and the thing is, in Six Masters, they actually played each other so many times. In fact, I'd have to have a quick look to see how many times it was. It was 1, 2, yeah, it was like twice because they played each other on the second and the third day. It was pretty crazy, but it was Wildcard, obviously, that did edge out. In fact, in the Six Masters playoffs, Wildcard didn't lose a single map. So Okami here do have their odds against them, but they do have a couple of star players that can step up. They've got Ippy Style, Specker as well, particularly this afternoon as well, stepped up too. So Wildcard do have their work cut out for them. I don't think they're necessarily going to be able to walk all over them.
Just some of the highlights from earlier this afternoon from Okami's win over Noble, which wasn't a total surprise, but I mean, I had Noble. No, wait, I had Okami winning this. In fact, I think in the end, I changed my vote. I definitely was going to go Noble, but based off of the back end of the regular season, I certainly changed it. And I thought, you know what? Okami are looking good, and Okami did look good. 2-0. They won out on Villa, and then they won out on Oregon. Noble started well in Oregon with a 2-0 start, but from that point onwards, Okami were able to take a bit of control. And as you said, quite a few star players on this roster. Going back to Six Masters, I think a lot of it was sort of on Ippy Style and whether or not he could get a lot of those opening frags. I feel like there's just more strings to their bow now.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I was a little bit critical of them early season, is they were leaning too heavily into individual plays, particularly on attack where they were solo entering quite heavily, but they sort of got out of that mindset. It feels quite recently they're playing as a unit, as you probably should be in Siege and how some of the best teams like Wildcard do play. So if they continue that form and continue to build upon that, then they do pose a serious threat.
We'll look at their opponents, of course, the ever amazing Wildcard, the winners of Six Masters, top of the table for Oceanic Nationals. You can't keep these guys down at all, apparently. They kind of were a bit sluggish at the start of Oceanic Nationals, and then they just flicked that switch. Of course, Vinny, in his debut season with Wildcard, has slotted in perfectly. Geo, I'm just going to say publicly, I voted him for my MVP of the regular season. Thought he was outstanding. Emerin probably, in my eyes, was about second best on the team as well. Pat and Diesel, no slouches either. It's just a great all-rounded team, and they're going to be really hard to beat for any of the teams still remaining in the playoffs.
100%, and the stats prove that. They've lost 3 maps this year. That is it. They lost 1 in 6 Masters against LFO. It was a 5-7 clubhouse. They lost 1 in the August Major against the Pittsburgh Knights. That was a 3-7. And then they lost 1 against Noble, the only loss that they had this season, rather. And that was a 7-8 on Cafe. So, yeah, they are very, very good. Very, very difficult to beat. And that doesn't even take into consideration that this is a best of 3. So not only do you need to beat them once, but you need to beat them twice. So very difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very, very difficult. And saying that though, I mean, Wildcard, they're not invincible. It's not as if they haven't lost a map at all. And you just wonder at some point, right? You're looking at a team like Okami, and at some point you think they're going to obviously get something to go their way. They're going to need to have a really good and maybe even lucky night for that matter. And who cares if you win by a bit of luck here or there. But Wildcard, certainly the top dogs, the team to beat. And, you know, it's interesting, you know, you hear in that interview before with Digital for Elevate how apparently, because I mean, I still think teams should be still just focusing on how to beat Wildcard.
Yeah, well, they are the gold standard. They are the team that you want to try and beat. And look, some regular season highlights there of on Cafe. And again, that was actually the only map that they've lost this entire season. So, and that was against Noble, who just got 2-0'd by Okami. So, I mean, if you look at that, and don't take into consideration the entire season as a whole of Wildcard's legacy, you can maybe make the assumption, right, that Okami
well, to be fair,
could
that
beat
was
Wildcard, but again, obviously that's not the case, right, when you look at their entire history.
That was a different Noble at a different time as well. Yeah. They had won that, they went 3-0. I made the claim they wouldn't drop a map for the rest of the season. They went 1-3 after that, and then they're dumped out of playoffs. So a bit of the Xenox curse there. Map vetoes, where we heading here? I kind of feel like I'd be a bit surprised to see Cafe, as you said. It was one of the maps that Wildcard have dropped. So, look, I'm going to take it. Oregon, Villa, not Coastline, Clubhouse. Oregon, Villa, Clubhouse. That's my guess. What's your guess? Just give me 3.
Oh, jeez. I'm going to say Oregon, Clubhouse, and maybe a Consulate, but that's a bit of a stretch.
I don't think we've actually cast a Consulate this season, yourself and me.
Yeah, probably not. It's not played a whole lot. I think it's been played like once or twice the entire season. It was like Wildcard actually did play it once against Elevate, and it was a 7-2. So that's a little bit scary for Okami, who haven't played it this season. I think Oregon, though, in all seriousness, is one that we might be able to bank on. And that's actually the map that these two have most recently played against one another, right? It was the last round of the regular season, 7-5. In favor there of Wildcard, so that could produce a really close result. Well, let's go and have a look and see at the map bans and the map picks, of course. There goes Cafe. There goes Oregon, banned out by Wildcard themselves. They do take us away from that. I did get 2 right, though, guys. I did get 2 right. I did say Clubhouse and Villa, but I did say Oregon. Our decider map is going to be Coastline, which I did say we wouldn't see Coastline. So, look, maybe we won't see Coastline because it'll be a 2-0. Regardless, Clubhouse, Villa, thoughts? Oh, okay. Clubhouse is a map that on face value often favors teams that are really structured and don't make a lot of mistakes. And look, that probably favors Wildcard in a sense. But that said, Okami have found a lot of confidence recently, so maybe they'll be able to pick up on that. Villa, again, another very structured map. So Wildcard, again, they love their structured maps. But then the curveball gets thrown in. If Okami can take it to that third map of Coastline, that's when we sort of see the chains get broken off a little bit. Okami might be able to play quote-unquote stupid and run around and be a little bit crazy and try and throw Wildcard off, which might be what they need in this series. Well, whether it's stupid or not, who cares if it works, right? I mean, for Okami's sake, they probably need to play a little bit stupid to win this. They can't play too structured and too formal. Otherwise, Wildcard, you would think, should have their number. Yeah, I look, 100%. I think Clubhouse Villa. Look, I have this as a 2-0. From what I heard as well, I think the expert panel has everyone choosing Wildcard as well. I don't know what to say. What does Okami need to do here? I think, as you said earlier, they probably need a little bit of luck and they need to be on their game. They were on their game earlier this afternoon against Noble. If they can play that well against Wildcard, they should be able to at least take 1 map off them, which will be a good start. And then if they do, inevitably, as I'm probably predicting, face off later, albeit in the grand final, then at least they have something to build upon. Let's go have a look at the Snowball expert panel prediction, which, no surprise, we do see everyone choosing Wildcard for this matchup.
realistically, it's the obvious choice. I would imagine the community vote will probably end up looking very, very similar. Yeah, it would be a big upset if Okami was to knock off Wildcard, force them down to the lower bracket, and force them to run the mini gauntlet that it would be. But I just don't see it happening. I think at best, Okami, if they can send it to 3, if they can send it to Coastline, it's almost a win in itself that you want a map and you stretched Wildcard to the limit. So that would probably be the overall objective from this. Don't go out like 7-3, 7-3, because then you're not really gaining anything.
Yeah, that is 100% the point that I was trying to make before, right? Even if they lose, they need to put in a good performance, because if they face off later, they don't want a repeat of 6 Masters where they lost twice.
They certainly don't want to repeat that whatsoever. What they would want to repeat, though, is their 2-0 against Noble. Okami, though, have got a tougher opponent here. It's Wildcard, it's Clubhouse, it's the semi-final for Oceanic Nationals playoffs, day number 1. Our final best of 3 of the day. We head to the band phase. Have fun, gentlemen.
Specker definitely had fun on the last map against Noble. He was running right a little bit. I don't think Wildcard will be as keen to give him that much freedom of movement. We'll have to wait and see. Thatcher taken off the board first. Nothing too crazy there. We have seen a little bit of Thatcher play employed from teams like LFO this afternoon to help disable some of those gadgets and help in those pushes. That said, it doesn't necessarily mean it's an insta-ban, but Wildcard traditionally don't really like seeing him played. Ace will follow that up, so that's going to be the only hard breach ban here on Clubhouse, and Ace has been a popular ban for most teams this afternoon. The capability to open up the walls quite quickly and quite efficiently is favored.
Certainly so. Thatcher's sort of been hit and miss, right? We've seen Thatcher banned, we've seen Thatcher not banned but not picked from certain teams, and then other teams have picked him. Are you going to be banned out by Okami? And Wildcard will take the final ban here for Clubhouse, and it will be the Valkyrie. So we're all ready and set to go. Okami are going to be attacking. Wildcard are going to be defending, which the fact that Wildcard are going to be defending first in Clubhouse, I mean, I don't want to sort of jinx this, but this could be a pretty quick map if they defend the way we kind of expect them to defend.
Yeah, it could well be the case. And again, if we want to look back at results, for example, and highlight the difficulties that Okami might encounter, the last time they actually played this map was against Elevate, and they lost 3-7. And that, I guess that's more so actually an indication of how much Okami have improved in the last couple of weeks, but also does provide an insight into some of the weaknesses that they might face. And they did also beat Rhythm 7-3, but that doesn't give us a great indication, if you would. And Wildcard, for example, they had some pretty good results, right? They beat Ferox 8-7 and Pittsburgh Knights 7-2. So maybe a small weakness there recently against Ferox, but they got the dub in the end, and that's what matters.
2% for the community vote in favor of Wildcard to the 18% of Okami, which is probably about right, to be honest. You always kind of want to give Okami a slight underdog's chance, which, especially as it's typically what we like to sort of cheer for and root for, are the underdogs. So definitely a few out there that want to give Okami all the chances in the world, but it's going to be so difficult. And now that we've said that it's going to be difficult, we'll see whether or not they can surprise us. Because really, it's all about getting into Wildcard's head a bit. Get off to a good start, win a few rounds, maybe Wildcard kind of, quote, choke, throw a round or two, and then just cause Wildcard to doubt themselves potentially. But if Wildcard just get off to the perfect start, like guns are blazing, win the first 3 sites, go up 3-0, repeat all the sites again, I mean, it's really difficult then to stop that train.
A little bit of a scary sight here. Wildcard committing to the SSG roam. Castles on the first floor, roaming on the first and second floors as well. And Okami will need to fight against this very, very structured setup. Diesel retreating down the stairs. A teammate alongside as well in Emorin and Geo. So Wildcard not overextending in this round. I mean, they've only been roaming for a minute, but it does plant the seed of doubt in the minds of Okami, who will likely spend part of the round droning above if they haven't already, which again just drains more time.
And time certainly is a very, very valuable resource. We saw that on Villa in our last series. When Elevate and LFO, a couple of timed out rounds. Speckhead just pushing through Bar. Certainly you would think Okami would be expecting roam from Wildcard. But it's not going to be the case. Just gonna literally turtle. I mean, they're all like within 5 meters of each other. Besides the big wall, obviously.
Yes, the big ball. It's a minute to go now. Okami trying to work the side. Cutie comes in with the sledgehammer, able to open some lines to the side, and Joker with the Mav torch over towards Dirt might get an entry point over in that location. I'm still trying to get a sense as to what Okami are really trying to achieve here. The hatch has been opened, which is nice, and it's actually going to be quite difficult for Wildcard to deny that drop, particularly if Dirt control is forfeited as well. So if Okami can potentially stack the hatch, stack the hallway as well, they might be able to get this plant down, but it still will be difficult. A lot of C4s on the board as well here for Wildcard to try and deny.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
25 seconds remaining. This is not bad for Okami though, just a 5v5 guns blazing. If they can win a couple of 1v1s, it'll certainly get them off to a good start in this round. Cutie will get the opening frag onto Vinny. Diesel fine here with the C4. Will he be successful? Yes, indeed he will be. That's the question answered. And following that C4 kill onto Ipistal, Imarin was able to find one as well. Joker going for the plant. Jack that from below. Sorry, from above, drops below. But unfortunately, out of time, Wildcard will take the round after stopping this plant, which apparently the replay just wanted to cut short.
Good start for Wildcard, and expected start really for Wildcard. It's going to be difficult for Okami to crack them, and we've seen it time and time again throughout the season. We saw it in Six Masters as well when these two teams faced off, and that was actually back in the time when you could probably confidently consider Wildcard to be #1 and Okami to be a pretty solid #2. In Oceania, a lot's changed since then. We saw teams like Pittsburgh Knights rise up and Okami fall back down, but seemingly out of nowhere now, Okami are trying to reclaim that second spot. Doesn't mean, of course, it's going to be much easier to take down Wildcard than it was back then. In fact, it's probably actually going to be even harder. So, look, still skeptical as to whether or not Okami can bring the goods here, but who knows? Long, long way to go.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not like it's just the best of one, which best of ones can kind of snowball very quickly. Go up 3-0, repeat, and then it's 6-0, and then that's it. You're done. Although I will say, I mean, this is Okami's map pick technically. Although I feel like in a series like this, cool, you've picked the clubhouse. I'm sure Wildcard are terrified. You know, like you, it's not like it's like an overwhelming advantage just because you've gone clubhouse and it's your pick. So I don't think I would want to sort of hang my hat on that as any reason for winning or losing. But CCTV, cash, Geo's going to hold rafters, and we've seen this millions of time, and we'll see it 1,000,001.
Yeah, just backing up on that point you made earlier, of course, the regular season was all best of ones. So your map pool didn't necessarily have to be that deep. Best of threes in the playoffs will expose teams that don't have the deepest of map pools. And traditionally, and probably still to this day, Wildcard have one of, if not the deepest map pool. I remember back in the day, their only real weak map, or the one map they didn't want to ever go to, was Border. And now that that's out of the map pool, they don't have to stress a whole lot about that anymore. And it looks like maybe their Instaban now is Oregon, which we've seen them do quite a bit. So, I mean, if you can have a 6-map pool, or 5 or 6-map pool, you're looking pretty good. So I don't think, as you mentioned, Wildcard will be at all disturbed by the fact they're heading to this map. In fact, they're probably going to be pretty confident.
Attackers have located.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. Also, what makes Wildcard, and not just Wildcard, but even teams like Knights, so strong is maps don't affect them. To be fair, I think the majority of teams are always going to feel quite comfortable on most maps. It's only if you really can sneak through a map that a team, usually maybe like Instabans, for instance, and for whatever reason has a brain fart and just lets it through.
which has
And
happened.
that usually does not. Well, it doesn't happen that often.
I
Though.
think it happened once this season with like Noble or someone crazy. I don't know. But yeah, very rare, very rare. Anyway, minute 10 to go in this round. In fact, Pat actually being lit up quite a bit there by the Vulcan shield being exploded. Half HP left in the bank as Okami are now trying to open up that con wall. Not sure if there's denial on it. There may be a mute jammer, and that's why they are delaying. And yes, that will be the case. Mute jammer just to the right, alongside that Banshee, delaying this push from coming through. Pat actually able to impact Trick that as his dying wish. 4v4 now. Okami might be forced to filter through the doorway, and Wildcard will be in a very nice position to mow them down.
And there's like no pressure as well from Garage as well. So Gio's just going to be able to sit at that rafter. He can look into CCTV. Pretty much free of charge. Although, I mean, Jack Dad's trying to keep an eye on this hole that has been opened up. Apparently, Ippy Style just quickly finds too. Gio does get flushed out as well from rafters. Vince trying to come in and save the day, and that's really what he needs to do. To save this round, you got to clutch it up. 1 versus 2. It's not going to happen. Oh, well, he'll have a bit more time, obviously, once this diffuser does get planted by Jack Dad. But taking that bit of damage at the little end of that exchange, that's going to make it so difficult. And yeah, Cutie watching top red. That's going to be the round win for Okami, and it's always a nice feeling to get on the board early against a team like Wildcard.
Yeah, they didn't get that con wall open, but they still made it work, which is quite impressive, really, that they were successful. Either way, though, that round done and dusted. Now it's time to head to gym bedroom, and in a similar fashion to how upstairs on Oregon can be a little bit deal-breaking as to a team's ability to win a map, sometimes gym bedroom can be that linchpin. It's the site that is typically the third favorite, or the tertiary choice, if you would, for the defense, and it will be on this occasion for Wildcard. If they're able to close this one out, then they're looking pretty good. They can head back to cash or even basement now and get that round under the board, and they'll still be able to extend that lead. If they lose it, though, Okami find themselves in a pretty decent position, and that plants some doubt in the back of the minds of the Wildcard players, because that means that they've actually unsuccessfully or been unable to defend 2 independent sites, which is a little bit concerning on club.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't be ideal. I mean, you never want to lose a round. In saying that, I feel like if Okami wins this round, we would expect Wildcard, head back down to basement, tie it up 2-2, and then they just get another shot at these 2 sites and look to then win the half 4-2. So, obviously, still a lot of water to go under the bridge. Round still to be played. How is Okami going to want to play this one? You would think Jacuzzi Wall's going to be a priority.
I'm not seeing anything too unorthodox here from Wildcard. I mean, they're extending over towards cash. Pretty expected. We're also seeing Pat, for example, holding Logi to prevent the rush in. Again, nothing too crazy there. And Emo in towards site. Vince here, a little bit of a wild card, if you would, down below, playing down towards secret, maybe trying to find an early entry. And look, his shot looked on point last round, unable, of course, to clutch up, but still found a nice 2K. And I mean, he did come in to fill the role of Ethan, right? So you'd be hoping that he'd be sharp on the sticks. And so far, at least here on club, it's looking like that. And in fact, the whole season has been pretty strong for him as well, albeit maybe a little bit inconsistent. So you'll be hoping that he's having a good afternoon for the next 3 afternoons.
That's certainly true. Jacuzzi Wall just slowly being worked on by Joker. Cutie helping out as well. Specker and Ippy Star gonna hold the windows as well into gym bedroom. So they've kind of got this surrounded nicely, but it's the usual play that Wildcard will be expecting. One behind the flipped mattress, one in the bathroom. Ippy Star gonna see what he can find. There's a mute jammer in there somewhere as well. Question is, when we haven't seen for a while, where's Vinny?
Don't know. Let's have a look.
A minute to go. Okay.
Oh, he's in a boring spot. He's in cash. We don't have to watch it. Ah, well. He's in a key spot though. It might be boring, but it is key. He has the long line of sight in towards the vault-ins over towards bedroom, and is also preventing Jack Daddy from doing anything too crazy from CCTV. So he might have a little bit of action soon. The rest of the team feeling the pump a little bit, but I wouldn't say it's enough to make them feel uncomfortable just yet. Okami still need to try and find a pick or two because Wildcard, they're in prime positions now to deny any entry in towards the site, never mind a plant.
Attackers recovered the bomb.
Well, they're not going to be able to open up this bathroom wall. Oh, I mean, unless Joker literally just runs right at it and just makes a hole, but he doesn't get enough charges left to actually open the whole thing. Diesel gets the frag on a Specker. The fact that they haven't got that wall open is going to make things difficult. Jack Dad, though, does catch Geo off guard on the sub roof, and then also Diesel falls to Epistar. Vince trying to see if he can find a peek from CCTV, but is unsuccessful. Imran's down as well. Although, time to get the diffuser down. Epistar leaving it to the very, very last second. Vince, is he going to swing out?
Oh, he got it.
Wow.
Run out of time.
Woohoo! That's a big round win because it was slipping away.
Oh, Okami. Look, it's difficult to be critical in a situation like that, but it was at that stage where the Maverick, I believe it was Joker, right? Just throw your body. Do you know how long was left on that diffuser? It couldn't have been very long, right? Surely if you had have thrown the body, it would have been just enough to maybe cover the plant. Either way, though, it's a bit of a fat rip. Vincier coming up clutch on this occasion. The last member alive again for Wildcard, but able to convert it on this occasion, and they do get that gym win, which is pretty big.
Well, it's pretty big too because they were.
Your bombs from being defused
If that
by
plant gets stuck, they lose the round. And then you're down 1-2. That's going to be a little bit demoralizing too for Okami. Now you go back down to basement. It's going to be difficult. Then you're down 3-1. And Wildcard's the sort of team that probably isn't going to allow you to win cash CCTV 2 rounds in a row. You back them in to sort of rectify whatever issues that they had the first time around. Obviously, don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but when you're dealing with Wildcard, you kind of have those high expectations. That's what comes with being such a good team.
10 seconds left.
The expectations to win, and usually win a lot more cleaner than that last round. Like, that was a messy round to win. The first round was okay in terms of cleanliness, but
To locate a bomb and defuse it.
definitely the second round was essentially Akami's to lose by the end of it. Lose they did.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
This is, in fact, a Church Arsenal hold. Ladies and gents, it's just a pretty roam again from Wildcard. They bring the castle on the board. They're making rotates on the top floor. Vincier with the Oryx to run around and cause some chaos as well. Burning time most critically at that. Joker getting to work on the cash wall, and that, of course, can cut off the rotate and make it more difficult to hold above. We saw last time at around this time, Wildcard were falling back to sight, but it will be Vincier actually to get the first pick onto Specker, the Zofia. Really huge. And I mean, even if Wildcard wanted to fall back now, that's a pretty good start to the round. A minute drained and a pick found as well.
Yeah, free kill. Can't go wrong with that on the site. That's obviously kind of difficult lower to take. You did bring up the point, though, that Wildcard fell back really early first time on this Church Arsenal defense, and they essentially turtled up almost immediately. This time around, they are roaming and putting that pressure that they didn't necessarily do on that first round. They kind of faked it, really, on the first round. They acted like they were going to be roaming around, but they didn't. They were down and turtling in the basement. This time around, though, they've made it look like they've done the same thing, castle barricades and all of these things, but this time they're actually in these positions and actually rotating. And it's just playing those little mind games with Okami. Now they can just drop back down oil pit, and now they can turtle up for the rest of the round because there's only a minute to go. You don't want to get picked off. Set up, wait for the push, which is really what they're going to do now. Just funnel in, what, like kitchen hatch or something? And they'll probably just lose a couple players, and yeah, that'll be the round.
Yeah, with that Sophia taken off the board as well, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to clear some of this utility. That said, of course, you do still have Sledge on the board, Ash, and even Joker with the nades too, but Specker would have been sorely missed, or has been sorely missed already. And there we go. Joker taken down. It's a 5-on-3 wildcard. Know they can play patiently. May not know the diffuser is down on the hatch, but either way, this round is wildcards to lose. Really, the hatch still hasn't been opened. And Okami
trick it
basically,
twice?
Yeah, I don't know.
Got it the
I don't know
first
what's going
time.
on.
He's got it again?
Seconds remaining.
Finally. The final X Kairos from Jack Dad to get that hatch. 9 seconds. I just realized the time. Ippy stole over the quick double onto Geo, and Imran is now going to open things up. Cutie has to get the diffuser down. In fact, Cutie ended up just nading Ippy style, by the way. What was like all happening with 9 seconds? Forget the 20-second meta. It's the 8-second meta.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Okami really only have themselves to blame for that. They took a long time to clear that roam, and I mean, actually, in the end, they ultimately didn't, and lost some much-needed manpower for late in that round. Wildcard, though, they'll be happy. 3-1 the scoreline. They've won basement twice, which is expected, and they can roll that momentum now back to Cash and CCTV. It's the one side that they are yet to win that they've attempted. So they'll be looking to convert this. If they do that, I don't see them having too many more issues in the rest of the half.
This is the difference, though, now between a 4-2 half or a 5-1 half. I think Gym Bedroom's going to be too difficult for Okami to take. Obviously, we've already seen them win Cash CCTV. You do it again, 4-2. You go to your defense, win the sites, you should be winning. Might have a game of this. Might have a really good series on our hand, but comes down. This is kind of like the dorms of Oregon, but for Clubhouse. Got to win this site
10 seconds to insertion.
to flip the narrative a little bit.
5 seconds left.
But I said it before, guys. It's really difficult to win the site 2 times in a row against
Attacker's
Wildcard.
objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
100%. Wildcard are notoriously good at reading their opponents and adapting on the fly, and it's the mark of any good team in Siege, really. Sure, you can have as many pre-planned strategies as you want, but the second that it gets unraveled, that's when you need to be able to make adaptations. Of course, that links back to a team's composure and communication, experience, and a lot of these members on Wildcard have those skills at a very high level by this stage. And Okami, that said, are also quite experienced across the board as well. I mean, all of their players have been in the comp scene for quite some time now. Some even playing for big international orgs like Specca, who's only recently returned. So there's no doubt Okami can try and match that, but I feel like Wildcard, like always, just have that additional gear that they can find.
Well, I mean, obviously for Okami, I mean, in terms of recency, they did make the grand finals of the Six Masters playoffs, so they certainly by no means are a pushover. And if anything, I think they had high expectations coming into Oceanic Nationals, which they didn't meet in the first half of the season. And they were floundering a little bit. They did find their way towards the back end, though. Certainly have reinvigorated themselves coming into the playoffs. Zimaroon with the opening frag onto Cutie through the C4, which was the pre-placed one, I believe, what we saw earlier in the prep phase.
Yes, it was. In the 20 though now, and at least the breach has been opened, and again, as always, that means you can't sit in the site, but still some strong control inside of Cash, which has been disrupted beautifully by Pat. That impact nade through the hole denies those X-Kairos from detonating as Specca finds Diesel, the clutch master himself, for wildcards. That's a nice pick, and does leave it in a 3-on-3 with a minute to go, but they might be forced again to just charge in towards side and refrag it out. Doesn't really feel like Okami have a decent opening here, as we see Geo still on the rafters as well, so key positions locked down by the defense.
But there's a bit more pressure on Geo this time. Ironically, the last time around, there wasn't actually that much pressure in Garage from Okami, even though they did win this site. Geo did have a bit more free reign. This time around, he is pressured, and apparently he's now down. Joker pushed in. Joker has successfully taken rafters. And Okami have the numbers advantage. They've got good position. Pat, though, just going to be waiting for the push in now. into CCTV. Does get the diffuser down on the floor as well. Is traded back though immediately by Jack Dad. Vince is probably
10 seconds.
the man though that you want in this situation after what we saw earlier on Gym Bedroom. Can he do it again? Just blindly shoots through, gets up above, does get one. Is not going to be able to stop the planter this time around and is quite low in a 1 versus 1 against Joker. Has time though, doesn't have to rush this. Is he just going to pre-fire to his left? I don't think he will. Nice little swing from Joker. Does not blow that moment. And Okami do win the site they need to win once again.
Well timed on the swing there from Joker. And again, Vinny left in another clutch scenario. That's at least 3 times now that I can think of where he's been left in that sort of situation, which is a little bit confronting for Wildcard. Normally they're able to deny the entries and play very strong plant denial as opposed to leaving up to individuals in the post plant. Nonetheless though, Castro CDV, maybe it's just not their day on that objective. They've attempted it twice and haven't won it once. So they'll head back to Gym Bedroom, which they've attempted once, won once. So good strike rate for them so far, and they are in a decent position to extend that lead to a 4-2. That said, Okami so far have been solid. They're not getting trampled. They're putting up a fight. And you'd hope so. It's their map pick, but we did say just how difficult of an opponent Wildcard would be.
Yeah, 3-2 is a good little scoreline to be at right now for Okami. They get a good shot at tying up the half 3-3, which I think they'd be more than ecstatic with that first half if they can get it 3-3, switch over to their own defense, have a bit of a try themselves on the defense. But for Wildcard, 4-2 just gives them a little bit more of a peace of mind, I would say, versus 3-3. 3-3 might just bring some doubts into their minds a little bit as to where they're at coming into this series. Okami winning a very, very important round there and heading over to Gym Bedroom, which it's not the biggest safe haven sort of site. I mean, even the match that the round that we saw before, coming down to pretty much a Vinny clutch was the only reason why Wildcard was able to win it. So it's certainly vulnerable if Wildcard do misplay it a little bit. Makes it 3-3, and then we got ourselves certainly a map.
Yeah, it's been a close map so far. I mean, you just have to look at the scoreline to make that assessment. But if Okami do even it out 3-3.5 on the attack, that is pretty damn good and does put them in the box position if their defense is strong to extend that lead and maybe even take the map. Yes, it's their map pick, so we're probably expecting on paper for that to be the case, and then Wildcard to get the next one back. But this is a momentum builder, a confidence builder for Okami. Even if they don't necessarily win this series, they do have the second chance. And then if later on they do verse Wildcard rather later in the playoffs, at least they can feed into that a little bit and see, oh, you know what, we didn't get smacked, so maybe we'll actually be a chance at taking this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Okami are playing well, right? I think you brought up the point earlier, LFO, you said they were playing well in their games. Regardless of the scoreboard, they looked like they were playing well. And I think you can say the same for Okami right now. I mean, heck, there's a round they should have probably already won. In another world, it's probably 2-3 if Vinny doesn't clutch that Gym Bedroom. And we could be staring down the barrel of an Okami 4-2, provided, of course, they can win Gym Bedroom again. The only site that Wildcard have looked clinical on is basement, Church Arsenal. That's about it, really. The other 2 sites upstairs, they have been a bit messy. Does mean, though, of course, that for Wildcard, they're a team that fixes their issues pretty quickly. They adjust on the fly. Means you can't just sort of bank on that for the rest of the map. I would be surprised if they're Wildcard's own attack, they're able to take those sites. So, Okami have looked good, but long way to go. 3-2. If they win Gym Bedroom here, 3-3, I give them all the chance in the world to send it to OT. We'll see if that can happen, though.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're going to maybe look at some of the key players so far, one player that comes to mind is Vinny for Wildcard, who's been put in these clutch scenarios time and time again. And his conversion rate's actually been quite good. It was unfortunate for him that he didn't win that 1v1 against Joker, who swung wide at the perfect time. He has come up clutch previously, and that's a good sign for Wildcard. As I alluded to earlier, he was brought in as a replacement for Ethan, who did step down heading into this season, and he had to fill pretty big shoes. Ethan was one of, if not the top performing player in Six Masters. So very, very tough role to fit into. But Vinny so far this season has done a pretty decent job. And so far here on the first map of the playoffs is doing an admirable effort as well.
I think right now what I haven't seen enough of is Geo. I think someone who I rated as the MVP for the regular season and for how successful he was in the regular season, has he been able to have much of an impact so far? I mean, we're only 5 rounds in, to be fair, but just want to see a little bit more from him, I think, considering how great he really was in the regular season. In saying that, you know, so we go back one series and you look at a guy like God Legion, who had a very disastrous coastline, but the other 2 maps on Villa and Oregon, he was amazing. So you can have a bit of a poor start and then obviously find your way back into a best of 3 series, which of course is exactly what this is. We're only on the first map, by the way, if you've just tuned in here, as we are in a rehost for the first map, Clubhouse, between Wildcard and Okami. 3-2. Been a good start from Okami. They've looked good. We'll see if they can keep it going when we eventually get back in. But Wildcard just don't look at 110%. They look like 90% right now. And if Kami can capitalize, who knows? Maybe they can get this map.
Yeah, and I mean, that raises an interesting point, right? How hard do Wildcard go in this matchup? They have to consider a lot heading into this matchup, right? If they win this map, they guarantee top 3. They do qualify for the major, and that's what they're aiming for in this competition, right? They want to qualify for the Oceanic Major, win the Oceanic Major, and then they'll have enough points to qualify for the 6th Invitational. It's up to the other teams to try and steal those points away effectively, and then unfortunately no one will have enough points to actually qualify in Oceania for the major. So yeah, in these earlier matchups in the bracket, how hard are they going to go? How many strats are they willing to reveal? Because they know that these teams are going to VOD them for later in the playoffs. You've got the likes of Pittsburgh and LFO, who will verse the winner of this match later on as well, and I'm sure they're probably sitting at home watching this as well. So yeah, how hard will Wildcard go? I think there's probably still a lot of room for them to bring it to that next level. Will they actually activate that? Who knows? I'm sure they'll be pretty confident heading into the 2nd and 3rd maps later, which of course is Villa and Coast.
So final round of the first half for the first map of this best of 3. Gym Bedroom for the 2nd time, which last time out, it was Wildcard who did pick up the win on this site. Although, bit of fortune. Just a bit lucky, really. I mean, obviously, Vinny's got to be there. He's got to take those shots. But I think we could both agree it probably should have been a round win for Okami had they played it a little bit better down the stretch.
Yep, I would agree. Wildcard got a little bit lucky, got a bit of a let off in that round. It was a 3-on-1 and Vinny just scraped through to find that final pick in the dying seconds of the plant. Obviously can't be relying on that too often, and it's important that that gym objective is properly monitored, and we saw those evil eyes from Emo Rin to, in fact, keeping an eye on that location. So Wildcard don't have any shortage of info this round.
I'm pretty sure last time out that we saw Gym Bedroom, it was Vinny who was just like roaming around down below. Yeah, there he is, bottom left.
Just chilling out.
I think he's even lower this time around than he was last time. He's even got a friend.
A bomb has been located.
They just swapped places there, Diesel and Vinny. I just wonder. A lot of the pressure from Okami is going to be that subroof balcony, just the windows outside Gym and Bedroom.
Drop the bomb diffuser.
Obviously, Jacuzzi Wall is going to be the primary focus point as well.
Vinny!
Oh my goodness, Vinny. That was disgusting. Jack Dad's sitting there waiting for it. He's like, someone's going to run out and peek this. Well, 1 for 1. Fair as fair.
Yeah, jeez. Both of these shots are pretty nice. The retrade as well was pretty quick there.
Yeah. Like Vinny
from Jack
bolted
Dad.
as soon as he got that.
Yeah. Oh, don't tell. Diesel. Oh, no.
Oh no.
Oh. Diesel to your right. No.
No. To left.
Other way.
Wait, can you see him?
Maybe not.
No. The trees? Or...
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky to see. The trees do
Oh,
block
no,
it
seen
pretty well.
him,
He
seen
would have
him.
seen that though.
Oh.
Couldn't get a clean shot. That's unfortunate.
I mean, he could just sit there. It's not unfortunate. He could just wait there.
Oh,
Look, there's another one. It's a very
He's-
high traffic area. Like,
he's giving
and he
calls though.
should-
So I mean,
Yeah.
even if he isn't actually getting these picks, he's at least calling that there's players on the bulk, which is valuable. They just need to be careful that they don't get
Oh, you gotta shoot
overwhelmed on
that. You gotta
site.
shoot that.
Otherwise, they'll be overrun. But yeah, it doesn't matter if you're able to pick them off.
That was really well played, and The second time tonight in all of the matches that we've played so far. Good bit of trigger discipline. Highlighted, and as you said, just can call it out. And then now with what, 50 seconds to go, Jacuzzi wall's still not even open.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Having a bit of trouble here, Okami, in this round, especially considering last time out on Gym Bedroom, it wasn't so bad, but these picks onto Cutie and Specker certainly making it difficult.
Attackers
They can just swing out as well again onto...
Oh, Joker.
What?
Diesel's going to swing this suicide window as well, and Jack Dad needs to be careful. Geo, though, actually finds the pick.
What the... Oh, my man's done.
What is going on?
He's done. He's like, get me out of here.
That's a good lower body strength right there. I wish I could do that.
Well, Wildcard win the round. That was a very, very anticlimactic round. We were sitting there on the rehost talking it up, Akami's chances, but that was a big letdown. Akami just didn't even fire a shot. I mean, the only thing that was really awesome from Akami that round was the very quick refrag onto Vinny from Jack Dad. It was like he was sitting there waiting for it. We'll probably get it on the replay. Here's the swing. Watch how quick he dies.
All the zoom.
All the zoom.
GN.
It's a shame we don't have the Joker cam. I'm sure Joker's not. I'm sure Joker's not unhappy about that though.
No, a little bit embarrassing,
Attackers
but
need to locate and defuse bombs.
well, don't have to worry about lobbing nades no longer, or at least cooking nades on the defense, which is where Okami now find themselves with the sides switched. Basement going to be the first location for the Okami hold. We've seen this objective played a couple of times so far in this matchup, and it has 100% gone the way of the defenders. So at least statistically speaking, if Okami want to follow that trend, they should win this round. If they don't, it'll be a little bit of an eyebrow raiser.
Insertion. 5 seconds left before insertion.
Well, 5-2
Must locate and defuse a bomb.
would be a long, long, long way back for Okami. I'm not saying that this is a must-win round. Obviously, it's certainly not. But basement, 4-2. I mean, the ramifications of losing Church Arsenal alone on Clubhouse is already something you definitely don't want to have happen. But then the fact that it would make the scoreline 5-2, most likely, I think you would have to just repeat basement anyway. See how Wildcard are going to play this out. I can't imagine Akami's going to do much roaming here. Surely not. Most likely you would think it'll be just turtle down below. Yeah.
A bomb has been located.
It's going to make kitchen though super easy here for Wildcard.
Lots of vert being established by Geo. That's through 2 floors nonetheless. Watching all the way down in towards Armory. Oh my god. You wouldn't want to die to that. That would be quite frustrating. Geo as well getting to work in the hallway too. That skeleton key doing a lot of damage. And Wildcard, we know they like to take their time setting up these attacks. So far, it's the same old. Really, not a whole lot to comment on, other than Wildcard are butchering the floor and Okami is sitting there waiting for the execute.
Well, I mean, that is what is to comment on, though, is the fact that Okami have just given up on this. Well, not even given up. They never even really gave it a try in terms of, like, kitchen defense. It's just simply, we're going to just turtle down below. We're going to hope that we don't die to anything like the nades, for instance. We've got to hope that no one picks us through the floor. And then with maybe 30 seconds left, Wildcard haven't got any of us, and we just outgun them when they drop down. And that's the play. That's probably the plan. Wildcard are going to want to obviously try and see if they can get one pick before dropping down. It just leaves it all up to a bit of a 50-50.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
I think you've got to put a bit of pressure onto Dirt, though, in this situation. Knowing they're going to be tunneling, you got to go Dirt. You probably go towards Blue as well, and then have one in Kitchen. You got to just pressure all the sides, because you know all 5 are down there.
30 seconds left on the board. Vinny coming through dirt tunnel. And it looks like Wildcard are trying to pincer from as many positions as possible. A lot of this attack, though, has been headed in towards blue. Emo Rin on the Zephyr to really strike this attack alongside Geo, but the smoke is providing a little bit of cover. Doesn't matter, though. Geo still finds that pick. Diesel as well. And with 10 seconds left on the board, oh my word, they are dropping like flies. It's Joker left in the back of church. Not really the position you want to find yourself in. Geo has the cross shut down. Wherever this man walks, he's likely going to be gunned down. Joker has found an opening, though, in towards blue, but that mirror is now being used against him. He knows that, and he's forced in towards the hallway. Wildcard will read into that. They know exactly where this mirror will be coming from. As long as they win the one or trade it out, they should be able to convert the round. Joker doesn't quite get the pick. Does lay a bit of damage onto Pat, though. This is potentially winnable, but
no.
There we go. Vinny from dirt finally comes through, gets the pick, and Wildcard says goodnight.
Yeah, and in the end, Vinny from dirt was the difference in that round. I mean, in the end, they did. They went for the pincer. They went for as many different avenues as possible, as you really should, especially when a team's just turtling up in basement. I mean, use everything you got. Vinny was able to get, I believe it was Cutie, pushed through dirt, and in the end was in that successful position to be able to deny Joker anything. And 5-2, you've lost basement, got to try it again, really. I mean, what else are you going to do, guys? This is the best site really on Clubhouse for defense.
Locate and defuse bombs.
I think you've got to go for it, though. I think Okami have got to be a bit more on the attack here, on their defense. You know what I mean? This is where you've got to, not necessarily like hardcore roam, but it has to be a bit more pressure on like kitchen or blue dirt. I mean, try and deny, try and waste a lot more time of Wildcard. Maybe have just one person roaming around. Cause a headache.
Maybe. Wildcard, yeah, they looked really comfortable, as they often do in that early to mid round where they set up the attack. And yes, it got a little bit hectic, but the inroads that they made early round made that execute what it was. It was difficult for Okami to take that on. Doesn't look like they are going to roam on this occasion. No castle on the board and everyone in towards site. So definitely your more traditional hold of basement. And if they aren't throwing these spanners in the work against Wildcard, they're only going to feel more comfortable, right? And we know that when Wildcard feel comfortable, which is quite a lot of the time, they do play very well.
The Wildcard do the same, though. Do they just play the same way? Again, just kind of a repeat. I mean, you would expect, right, that Okami would do something a bit different. You'd be ready for that. You can already see Geo again looking for the 2-floor wall. Talk about vert control, but there's 4 down there. Is there one at least roaming around somewhere? None. Just one in dirt. So it is going to be Turtle again.
Minute 45 now on the board. Again, Wildcard taking their time progressing. I'm liking these mirrors from Okami, throwing a little bit of a curveball, but Vinny with those X-Kairos should be able to deal with it, or at least make it very difficult to hold. That said, though, Cutie's actually going to bandit trick the wall. That's a very effective way to shut down the X-Kairos. Does prove successful. The flame not quite hitting the mark, I don't believe. And Cutie was able to sit there quite comfortably and deny the hard breach from actually opening up that position.
Small wins are big wins really right now for Okami. Got to get a couple of them though. Can't just get one here or there. Geo's still going to be able to put in some work here from kitchen. Minute remaining on the clock. But even the small wins don't get you the round wins if you can't capitalize. 2x Kairos still available for Vinny. Closing out the flash first. Oh, nothing much you can do about that. Great play from Joker with the C4. 40 seconds left, and now Wildcard down a player. If there's ever a time for Okami to get back into this map, this is it right now. 30 seconds left. They got a man advantage as well. Pat's going to drop down eventually. There are still quite a few different avenues here for Wildcard, so if they do win a few of these 1v1s, it is still going to be difficult for Okami.
15 seconds on the board. This is where Wildcard will start to get quite explosive. Diesel downs Joker off the board. This is where it really starts to open up the round, and he in fact swings around and finds another with the pistol. That leaves it in a 2-on-2. Geo, though, unfortunately gets taken down. Specker finds 4 in this round, hovering over towards the back of Arbery. No one able to win that one, and he comes out on top.
Well, it just gives them a lifeline, but now you're out of basement. 5-3. Can they stop what's going to be, not right now match point, but soon to be? Obviously, it all started with a great C4 from Joker. I thought Diesel did amazing here, by the way. Firstly gets Joker. Nice little swing around the back too. Catches Cutie from behind. And a 2 versus 2 left, though. It's Specker who comes up clutch. We head over to CCTV and cash now for round number 9. 5-3. Wildcard still 1 round away from match point.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Good round there for Okami. Arguably like a bit of a solo play towards the back of Arbery, which really shouldn't have been allowed by the likes of Wildcard, but nonetheless, that oversight does prove costly. Specker is never going to think twice about taking the opportunity to click some heads. When he's on, and currently, after the rehost, he's going 5-2, which is a very, very solid effort. Top fragger, in fact, on the server off the back of that round. Keen to see how this round plays out, though. We are yet, in fact, to see it.
5 seconds remaining.
Not sure if Okami will have what it takes to hold this out.
Attackers are moving out to locate
Omega
bomb.
combo on the board, though, will aid in that. Expect to see that garage hold and basically everything else we've come to expect on this side. I'm not seeing anything that's really groundbreaking at the moment.
Style sitting up in rafters, certainly got a few neighbors just loitering around down below. 2 ADSs, there's also a mute jammer up there as well, next to the reinforced wall. Diesel over at Kennel's wall, gonna open that up.
A bomb has been located.
No? Not yet. Still a lot of time. 2 minutes on the clock, Joker. What's he planning to do here from top red? Just try and maybe be a bit of a nuisance for Diesel.
So far, the progression from the attack has been quite good. Wall open, minute 40 left on the board to start now clearing the utility in the site, such as the shields, and maybe even start burning the ADS devices that Ippy is using to hold the rafters. Wildcard will just be looking at their checklist and just looking to try and get it done. Probably nothing too special that they need to do. Just make sure that they limit the amount of mistakes that they make and don't let anything jump out at them as a little bit of a surprise. We do see Pat actually getting quite aggressive at the bottom of garage. There's a Banshee, which is probably given the sound cue away to Ippy. And as Pat, of course, tries to clear the Jaeger on the rafters, the magnet will catch that bolt and prevent it from holding that position. The second one, though, hits the mark. Ippy moves, but doesn't get shot in time, so Diesel maybe not expecting that or missing his shots. Nade, though, it'll get caught by the ADS, so this is... Oh, okay. No, it won't. What?
Well, the ADS were cleared, weren't they?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, jeez.
You're about as confident as maybe Ippy was as well. Joker
Yeah.
does get Pat pushing up the stairs. That's one back. Imarin, though, does reaffirm the advantage for Wildcard. Eliminating Jack Dad Joker. Oh, well, goodbye. Vinny's just on something else right now, though. Playoff time for him. It's a special time. Wildcard Certainly enjoying his performance so far. Specker, though, has been huge so far. Some very clutch moments. Does eliminate Vinny. Diffuser does go down. Geo can take that Rafters position. Emo from Kennels. 37 seconds. We're 3 versus 2. But while Specker's low, he has pulled off some pretty clutch moments so far here on Clubhouse. Cutie, Diesel, Emo and Specker. Those are the 4 players involved at the end of the round. It's over. Match point on Clubhouse for Wildcard.
Yeah, this map has fizzled out a little bit. It feels like Wildcard, again, just doing Wildcard things, and it's pretty difficult now to see Okami come out on top. It feels like almost at every turn, Wildcard are not far behind their opponents, if not in front on most occasions, and the scoreline is reflective of that. Okami looking to actually reattempt CCTV and cash, probably not left with too many other desirable options. It's either this, gym bedroom, or bar, which they're not going to go to, so really is the lesser of 2 evils on what could be potentially their final defense. And if they do lose this map, that's concerning. We thought that they might be a chance if they could head it to coastline, but if they lose their own map pick, then the chances of that grow slimmer.
Multiple match points is never a nice feeling to have either. Definitely feels like, though, that round Okami could have been a bit cleaner and would have had a bit more of an opportunity, specifically in that round. Ippy almost, you know, able to avoid a bit of disaster up in Rafters, but that nade at the end being his undoing. 0-1 and 4 since the rehost. Of course, we did have a rehost, so don't trust the KDAs on your screens for what they're worth right now, and it's going to be a similar play for Ippy, which I don't blame him. Double ADS. I think the difference is, instead of moving closer to the door, move closer to CCTV and just maybe give it up. Even if I think you'd rather have your life than he's placed the 3rd ADS now for that nade. It's like, all right, well, if the same thing happens again, I'll go to that spot and then that nade won't get me this time.
Specker probing downstairs, maybe trying to find a pick, but Wildcard aren't typically the team where you will see too much solo entering. I mean, there might be an engagement soon alongside Geo. Drone may have missed his location. He doesn't seem very aware that there's a play behind him, or very cautious of the fact that that might be the case. Geo actually does win the wide swing, so it doesn't even matter. Specker's just gone, turned to dust. And Wildcard now with the man advantage with 2 minutes to go. So much to still do, but yeah, that forces Okami now to really turtle in towards side. You can see there's not a whole lot they're doing in towards the side. It's quite passive at the moment, and Wildcard will probably start to run over them.
But how many rounds have we seen this now, guys, from Okami's defense? I mean, mostly down in basement, they're just turtling. Now they're turtling here. Sometimes you've got to meet your aggressors with a bit of aggression. It's hard to... I guess it's easy for me to sit here and say that, you know, they're going up against Wildcard. It's never an easy feat. But you got to do something. If you're just going to allow them to just walk towards you, they're going to take that and run. Now, this I don't mind. This is better. May not get Ema in here, as Ema just sort of goes a bit more over to the right. But Ippy trying something. Up.
Oh, no.
Now, I said trying something. Didn't work. But trying something.
Yeah, no, I agree. That Claymore placement is very, very dirty there. It's probably Ema's Claymore as well. Yeah, that's quite unfortunate. Vincier finds a pick as well. This round's basically over. I feel like this map is almost over as well.
Yeah.
Xenox has just dragged Dad and Joker to hold the fort. They're both trapped towards the top of the main stairs, and Wildcard are staring them down the barrel.
They certainly are, guys. They certainly are. 39 seconds remaining. Dad, Joker. Got the map on the line. Fortunately, of course, this is the best of 3. We will be heading to Villa after this. It's not over yet, but Jack Dad would need a 1v5 against Wildcard, and flawless round in the end. Probably just about deserved for Wildcard. Well, one thing I will say, guys, I said Okami probably don't want a 7-3, 7-3, best of 3. Well, the first map is 7-3. Does not bode well heading over to Villa, considering that this was, in fact, Okami's map pick. Although, as we've sort of alluded to, Wildcard own all the maps.
Yeah, Wildcard may well have a 7 map pool. Who knows? It's really difficult to find any weaknesses in how they are playing at the moment. They've been on the up. They're continuing on the up, and with Okami losing that map, Wildcard is still sitting firmly at the top here in Oceania. That form is only continuing, only growing, and yeah, not too much to say about that map, to be completely honest. I mean, after the rehost, Wildcard just ran away with it, really. Okami just had 0 answers.
Yeah, 4-1 after the rehost, wasn't it? So I guess you could use that sort of as an indicator as to maybe where things turned around. And going back to the first opening rounds, Okami didn't look so bad. You know, go back to that gym bedroom, that Vinny clutch. If Vinny doesn't get that clutch, there's a time where it could have been almost like 2-3 to Okami in their favor. It didn't happen, of course, and you can go for hypotheticals all day long, really. But in the end, Wildcard come up big. Vinny had some huge moments, though, coming up clutch like in that particular round, but just in general franking out, and was certainly a standout for Wildcard, especially when, you know, I called it out. I thought Gio was a little bit quiet for someone who I gave the regular season MVP to.
I mean, I'd say that Gio probably didn't have to be too noisy in this match, right? 7-3 was pretty comfortable, and Vinny was the one that was clicking heads on most of the occasions. Yeah. So Gio probably could have just sat back and had a cup of tea, and I think Wildcard still would have won that map, to be completely honest. It was, yeah, it was a bit of a walk in the park for them for most of these rounds. Not all. I will say that Okami put up a decent fight and did show some good glimpses on the map that was their pick, but ultimately they're just not quite at that same level that Wildcard are at the moment.
Well, they do get a second chance, of course. It is a best of 3. We're going to go to a break, but when we come back, we do head over to Villa to see whether or not Okami have got a lifeline. Well, this is not looking good for Okami. Fortunately, if they do lose this upcoming match, they drop down to the lower bracket. They got a lifeline, I guess, as we come back into this best of 3 semi-final between Wildcard and Okami. Welcome on back. It was Clubhouse 7-3, which means we're going to be heading over to Villa. And guys, I did allude to the fact earlier on that what Okami don't want is 7-3, 7-3. Well, it's now a possibility.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit worse than a 7-3 for Okami here, unless they pull something crazy out. They did actually play quite well against Noble earlier today on Villa, so there's a little bit of hope there that despite this not being their map pick, maybe they can show Wildcard up to some extent. But the fact that they did just lose 7-3 on their own map pick is, yeah.
It doesn't bode well for them. Does not bode well for them,
no,
that's for sure. Going over to Villa, which is of course Wildcard's map pick. So ultimately, it's going to be difficult. I think we can easily sit here and say it's going to be very difficult. We don't give them much of a chance. I'd like to see them though fight back, maybe send it to OT, throw everything they've got at it. In saying that, it's only the semifinals. And then actually a comment you made sort of off air was we might see these two teams in the grand final, and that's where you want to definitely utilize all the tactics that you've got then. So just maybe if there is still a time to potentially hold a few things back, now's okay still to hold things back.
100%. Of course, the winner of this match does qualify for the Oceanic Major. They don't have to stress too much more, at least, about that. And in the case of Wildcard, they need those points to make the 6th Invitational. So this map will be a big one. It's Wildcard and Okami, the second map in this best of 3. It's Villa. This should be a little bit of a barn burner, potentially. But we are expecting Wildcard to probably run away with them.
I think you're expecting Wildcard to run away with it. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Okami win a couple rounds. Maybe like 7-5 to Wildcard. I don't think we'll get overtime. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I didn't necessarily predict 7-3 to be fair. I did just say, like, in the grand scheme of things, probably want to be able to make a series close if it's a team that you're going to have to beat eventually to win the whole thing. And 7-3, 7-3 certainly not close. Into the ban phases, Thatcher, Maverick off the board, and Valkyrie will follow.
Yeah, nothing crazy so far. We've got a Heartbreach ban, a Thatcher ban, and an Intel Gathering ban. I don't know why we would see anything too different to what we saw in the last map, so we might see something like a Kaid ban taken off the board. And there we go. Not a whole lot to say about this ban phase, if I'm completely honest. It's pretty stock standard. It's going to come down, this matchup, I feel, to who makes the least mistakes. It was really a case of that on Clubhouse, where we didn't see anything too wild. It really just came down to executing those basics, making the least mistakes, and Wildcard, being one of the better teams, or the best team in the region, should be making the least amount of mistakes. And unless something crazy happens here, and Okami are able to capitalize on the small amount of mistakes that Wildcard do actually make, it's going to be very tough to see them get their way into this match. But who knows? We've seen wilder things happen before.
Is there a stage where mentally Okami might check out in this match? Like if it just gets a bit much, 3-0, 4-0, do they just sort of say, all right, we don't want to show anything else that we might have that maybe in a grand final we could use to get back into it? Something like a bit like a Digital Clash, for instance, like something that maybe isn't always shown or isn't always used.
Yeah, again, that sort of links back to the point I just made. I don't expect anything too crazy to come out from either of these teams. They'll probably stick to pretty default setups and execute those basics, not revealing a whole lot that the teams watching at home right now will be able to VOD review on them. Of course, keeping in mind that these teams will be versing others in the Oceanic Nationals later. The winner, Sword, they'll verse the winner of Knights and LFO, and then actually the loser of that match will be taking on the loser of this one. So you don't want to be revealing too much because that compromises your run later. But at the same time, you also don't want to be getting smashed. It's just not a good look.
Are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
It's definitely not a good look when, as I said before, there's a chance you might end up playing them later on. And it's sort of what happened as well in Six Masters playoffs. These two teams played each other once earlier, even before the grand final. I think if I recall, Okami did a little bit better in the grand final than they did in that earlier matchup. So it doesn't always spell disaster if they do meet each other again. But Wildcard, they're the best team in the region right now, that's for sure. And they've certainly earned that reputation, that title. Imran just being a bit cheeky over at Stable Yard. Lots of time. Wildcard are going to be attacking first, though. So, you know, you said 7-0, something ridiculous like that could be a stomp. Well, Okami are going to be defending at the very least, so could still a few rounds early on.
Maybe. Wildcard going for a map clear from the north. No one really contesting this. Okami, again, playing quite close to site. That's what we saw in Clubhouse. They weren't willing to extend too far away. And that, of course, does play into the hands a little bit of Wildcard, who like to establish that dominance early round and then convert that to some mid-round disruption before, of course, going for that final execute. This round, I'm anticipating will be no different, and it's pretty similar to Clubhouse in the way that it often plays out with that pacing. Vinny, he's actually below. He could provide some nice disruption. There's still some utility that they need to try and take down, as that Vulcan shield will be taken down alongside Joker. So Wildcard now have that man advantage, and yeah, this should steamroll into a win, I would hope. Again, they've just got to minimize those mistakes. They've just got to minimize those mistakes.
No, I definitely agree with you. I don't recall that many massive mistakes from Okami on Clubhouse. I just felt they didn't play aggressive enough, and that they just allowed Wildcard to do whatever they pleased on the attack.
Bomb located by attackers.
And you're already sensing it similar here again. Okami, though, do have a couple of roamers around. Spec is down in piano. 40 seconds remaining. And it's at least that vertical control now. Not too bad of a play here. Could push over to the stairs as well. Gas canister's out. Smoke is out too. C4. Didn't quite rip it and throw it just yet. Diesel has moved in though, and that is the C4 play from Specker with 20 seconds to go as well. They have to push in, grab that diffuser, and go for a plant. 15 seconds left. Specker stays below. 4 versus 4. Impy Styles down thanks to Imarin. And as Wildcard usually do, they capitalize. Vinny with a double. Specker coming up big, but just can't quite do it himself. He needed help. It's a 1 versus 3. Specker pushes up now from below into games. Can get maybe one there. That was his opportunity to make it a 1 versus 2. Unfortunately, falls short of the mark, and it did so much right in this round. Unfortunately, just didn't have any help, Guz.
30 seconds now left. Specker still yet to find a pick and needs to probably find all 3 if he wants any chance of counter defusing. Does find 1 though. Needs to ace it, of course, in this round to find all of the remaining attackers. But Jerry shuts it down. Wildcard take the round, and wow, that execute was really just poetry in motion, right? Yes, Specker did a great job in denying it from below, but it was like, again, Wildcard just entered this new gear and just went, oh, okay, whatever. We'll just frag you out and get the play down anyway, right? And just when it feels like Okami might be a chance at winning the round, Wildcard just go, nope, no chance.
Back over to Aviator Games for a second try for Okami. Spec has been super impressive though. Absolutely super impressive today as a whole. Unfortunately, in that particular round, just didn't really have much backup to help him clutch it out. The C4 with 20 seconds left. Thought at that point, I thought maybe had done enough to turn the tide of the round. Wasn't to be, and to be fair, you kind of expect that from Wildcard, that even if they do have a slip up, 20 seconds left, it's almost like it doesn't even bother them. So head to round 2. Of course, a reminder for those who have maybe just tuned in, it's been a bit of a long day. Very earlier on, quite a few hours ago now, we did see Okami versus Noble. They won that 2-0. Following that, we went to all 3 maps in our second matchup, which was Elevate versus LFO. LFO ended up winning 2-1. And now we are in our third and final game for the day, or third and final set for the day. Wildcard currently up 1-0 in this best of 3 semi-final. And of course, we'll be back tomorrow for even more games.
Yep. I need to adjust my sleep schedule, so I'm actually awake in time for tomorrow. because we have the first game.
Just a lazy 1 p.m. or something.
Yeah. Well, look, when you've got the sleep schedule I do, that is quite early. So.
Well, to be fair, we have been in lockdown, so it's not like we can do anything.
Yeah, not much to do these days except play Siege, cast Siege, talk about Siege. Oh well, wouldn't have it any other way.
2 minutes into this second round. It's really all on Okami, though, to turn things around. Wildcard are just doing what they usually do. And it's up to Okami to meet them halfway in the middle. Specker definitely tried to do that in that last round. We saw Ippy Style do something similar on Clubhouse where it ran into a Claymore going out of Garage. And I don't mind those sort of plays, being a bit more aggressive. Try and even just spawn peek someone. Try and get that 5-on-4 advantage early on into a round. Just little wins that they can potentially try and get. But instead, you've got 3 players sitting on the site. Beauty runs away now, though.
Again, it always feels like Okami are being circled by vultures, doesn't it? Wildcard are just waiting patiently around the map. Ippy Style doesn't have any patience, though, and gets punished.
Oh, no.
That's
It's
a
Emo
really
again.
nice frag for Emo Rin. It didn't even look like he was meant to win that, but nonetheless comes through. And Ippy Style will be a little bit tilted by that. Probably expecting that to be an easy frag, but Emo Rin just so good on repels just in general. Shuts him down.
Ippy hasn't been able to get into this series at all. You know, he's known for finding those opening frags and making something happen, but just time and time again hasn't really been able to have much of an impact, unfortunately. And you said might be a bit tilted from that. I mean, it's probably just a combination of factors, really. Ping 2.0. Going to try and use that nade to get rid of the Vulcan shield. Gas canisters out just to buy some time, but it's Pat who takes off the head of Specker, and well, that's a pretty strong dude to get rid of.
Yep, 5-on-3, 30 seconds left. Now, Joker's in the prime position to try and deny this entry in towards the site. Has a C4 in hand as well. The rip sound may be heard on the drone, unsure, but nonetheless, Wildcard will need to try and push deep to avoid that. Diesel will do so, planting next to the model on this occasion. They need to be careful not to stack too much here. The C4 could ruin everything, but you can just shoot their head as well. That doesn't matter. Jack Dad and Cutie now left to clutch it up. Make that just Jack Dad. This could be a flawless round for Wildcard. And it is. Jerry with a flick completes the flawless round. I know I joked earlier, Xenox, about this maybe being a 7-0, but I gotta say, the stage is being set.
Oh, we're only 2 rounds in, but it's not just 2 random rounds, is it? It's 2 attacking rounds on Aviator Games, so it's not really spelling good news at all for Okami. It's spelling disaster. If anything, they have to give up on Aviator Games, though. They have to head over to Stat Trophy. Try something different. Let's just find a small victory to get back into this. Otherwise, you know, I posed the question earlier and I said, do they drop their head at some point and say, you know what, we're not winning this series. Save whatever tactics we've got potentially. Is that 3-0? Is that 4? I'd say 4-0 by that point. You're thinking you're not getting much from this, especially against Wildcard's defense.
Yeah, I mean, the more I think about this, the more skeptical I would be of Okami if they did adopt that mindset, how intelligent that really is, right? Because if they drop down the lower bracket, they might be versing the Knights. And the Knights, whilst their form hasn't been greatest at the back end of the regular season, they're still a very strong team. And they actually did take down Okami in the Oceanic Major. So there's a bit of form there, a bit of bad form for Okami, and they can't really risk it. That they'll actually survive that lower bracket run. There is
well,
still
I mean,
a fair
it's not like
chance
they
they
got a
lose.
choice. It's. I mean, they're obviously trying their hearts out, and it's just not working for them. So it's not as if they've got a choice in the matter, really. It looks as if Wildcard are going to send them down there regardless, and they're going to have to run that gauntlet. Which I think that's where you've got to just back yourselves in and say, well, we can beat the likes of Knights and LFO, for instance, that still remain. Obviously, they would play the loser of that matchup first up. So you've just got to back yourselves in against those other teams, and I would imagine that they would. I'd also imagine they'd probably back themselves in to beat Wildcard. You know, just the mindset is you've got to be able to have that mindset. If you go in thinking, oh, all right, well, we're not going to win, then you're not going to win.
Yep. Either way, minute down in this round, 2 to go. Spectre and style trying to greet Wildcard as they enter from study. Drones are being sent out, so I'm assuming Wildcard are aware of this entry, and based on their positioning at the moment, they are playing it in such a way that they're trying to sandwich these players in here. Or Ibistal needs to be careful of that 90 position. They both do crouch away just in time. That's well played by Okami, who have now wasted half the round. And Wildcard, as I've mentioned time and time again, are a team that like to spend their time establishing the execute, but so far they haven't really been able to do a whole lot.
But they don't need much time either, right? I mean, Wildcard are known for being able to make those 20-second pushes.
Oh,
so
and Geo's inside.
Well, how about the 1 minute 20-second pushes? That's the new meta. Oh, cutie. No, that's unfortunate. Oh, this is not going good. This is not going good. Everything that can go wrong right now for Okami has been going wrong, hasn't it? Diesel's going to get this plant down at the minute mark. Imran just can't be stopped. He's got 2 in this round, 4 for the map as a whole. Spectre is like the only one doing anything right now for Okami. Joker does help out for a bit, but is refragged by Vinny. Diesel and Vince versus Spectre, who has a 5-0-2 KDA. But it looks as if they're going to be 3-0 down, unless comes up big here.
Just face checking every single angle that he humanly can, and does find the pick onto Vince here. That's the triple, but he needs the 4K to close this out, and he has absolutely no idea where Diesel's playing. He is so deep inside of closet. There's no way he checks it once again, and the time's already run out. He can't stick this. Diesel knows that. And that will be a wild card round win. No picks on the board, both players missing their shots, but they just completely forfeited sight to Wildcard. And Wildcard said, thank you very much. Took that site, and unfortunately, Okami weren't able to retake.
But is that what they need to do realistically, is do little different things like that? I mean, I'm not saying it was good. I'm not saying it worked, because obviously it didn't. They lost the round, but do something different. And they tried that. 3-0. And, I mean, they've only lost 2 sites, though, technically, which is Stat Trophy, Aviator again. So they're going to try Stat Trophy again, but I mean, you said maybe 7-0 might be the way. At this point, I think it's shaping up like that. Maybe 7-1, 7-2. They might steal one here or there, but it's just getting ugly. I mean, Clubhouse, the first half on Clubhouse was certainly a bit back and forth. It was actually a pretty close contest. Wildcard blew it out like you kind of expect them to in the second half. But this is just a blowout from the beginning.
Yeah. Pretty much agree with you. It's yeah, it's turned on its head a little bit, unfortunately, for Okami. They started off the afternoon on a high, and now they've met their match really on Wildcard. And Okami, I'm sure, expected some tough opposition. Spec has been quite confident in the interviews and backing his team in, but I think realistically they're probably heading into this with the expectation that they might not win, but it's probably not going to be the end of the world. They just need to actually use this as a learning opportunity more than anything, because again, if they do verse them in the grand final, that's when you don't have the second chance and you really do have to step up.
Spec has been amazing, though. I feel like I've said it 3 times in a row, 3 rounds in a row. Single-handedly has felt like the only sort of impactful player for Okami here on Villa. Almost gets taken out there, actually. Looking for maybe a repeat. And that's fine. I don't mind that from Spectre. Just shooting through some of these windows and trying to be aggressive.
Part of me really hopes he actually hits that wall bang, but the chance is obviously quite slim. He is, I guess, disrupting the drones quite a bit here and again, wasting Wildcard's time. And there needs to be a little bit more of this from Okami. Maybe not just him actually doing this disruption, because sooner or later, he's either going to try and make his way back to site and he'll get cut off, or he'll maybe find a pick and then get traded out anyway, and then it kind of nullifies itself. That said, he's actually now retreated downstairs. Diesel has spotted him on this drone, though, so I'm sure Geo will be fully aware of where he is, but he's not really in a position to cut it off, unfortunately.
My device is ready.
I Minute and a half remaining, round 4 of this second map of the best of 3. And credit to Spec, he's just definitely trying to find something, some sort of an avenue to get Okami an advantage. Pre-fired from Vinny as he swings out. Not going to find Specker or anyone for that matter. Well, definitely Specker bought them a lot of time, bought them a chance, and Ippy Styles bought them an opening frag by eliminating Diesel. Certainly could feel the confidence for Ippy. Has struggled thus far in this series. 55 seconds remaining. Still a lot of time for wildcard standards, but down a player now.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
This is, of course, the first time that Okami have gotten the opening pick, I believe. So they should be able to be in a nice position to try and capitalize on that. It will be worrying if they do somehow struggle in this round still. Wildcard playing patiently as always, but that time is running low. 30 seconds left on the board, and I think they're just going to try and send it, try and refrag this out. Pat finds the first. It's a 4-on-4 trade. Is not immediate. Imerin trying to find these picks, but can't quite. Does eventually find one, but the crossfire is held. Pat left in a 1-on-3. Should be taken down, and is Okami able to finally get around with.
Well, the good news is that at least they don't get 7-0. And the better news for me is it might give a chance for 7-3 still to happen.
You really want a 7-3, don't you?
It's
You
like,
really
no,
want
well, it's just, I'm just saying, it's like win-win, right? Certainly better. And they can head down to, no, they're going to go back over to Aviator Games. I really thought they'd just go kitchen dining there because, well, you know, they tried Aviator Games 2 times and they lost Aviator Games 2 times. There's only 2 more rounds in the half. May as well do something a bit different.
Take us to library, mix it up, get a bit exciting. We've actually seen a couple of teams play a bit of library, and in fact, some teams most recently are actually incorporating some verticality into that. So keep an eye on that site. Maybe we'll see it played somewhere else in the playoffs. Maybe we'll even see wildcard attempted, but again, highly doubt it. Considering they're leading, they'll just be quietly hiding the strats, as the kids say. So probably not expecting that. But yeah, nonetheless, we are heading to AVG. As you mentioned, played twice, lost twice by Okami. So we're probably expecting wildcard to win it again, right? That'd give them the 4-1 lead. And from that kind of position, it's very difficult to see Okami to bring that back on the attack.
I think even at this point, 3-1, it's already going to be difficult. The best case scenario for Okami is if they make it 3-3. It's as simple as that. They're going to win these next 2 rounds. Wildcard's defense is going to be very difficult to overcome. In saying that, I mean, Aviator Games right now, Okami have got something to prove here because the first 2 rounds did not go their way. It wasn't even close. Like, the first 2 rounds were just very clean for Wildcard. But maybe Okami have just sort of opened up a little bit. Happy to play a little bit more free, a little bit more wild. Hold different angles and positions and be a little bit more aggressive. Put some pressure on like Diesel and Vinny here as they're coming in. Other side of the map. In closet, so this is not something that's nice to deal with, and Joker's just putting them off a bit. And this just saves time. That's all it really is, just buying some time.
I want to see, is Emo Rin still holding on that roof like he was from Spawn last time? Because he's in a great position to cut these players off. So here we go. If they're able to push these defenders back in the likes of, I believe it was Specker and Joker on that side of the map, Emo Rin's in a great position to cut that off. But unfortunately, Vinny was taken out first. That's also a really nice vault spot that I didn't know existed as well. So Emo Rin playing quite smart at the moment. He's got a great leap. He should be in the long jump as Joker finds another pick. Finally is taken down though. Specker, not sure where he's found himself. Probably somewhere. Oh, he's actually back inside. There you go. Not a bad result at the start of this round for Wildcard, but they have struggled a little bit when they've been at that man disadvantage.
It's only natural, I guess, really. If you're down a player, it's going to be a bit difficult.
Yes. Forehead. Thank you.
Minute and a half remaining. We'll swap over for the diffuser. Pat picks it up. With 3 versus 4, not impossible, especially for a team like Wildcard. But Okami have just picked things up a little bit here. Found a switch, found a gear that they've been able to turn and as they look to get back into this match, get back into the series. Who knows? We could be watching one of the great comebacks of all time, guys. You just never know. Well, that's one way for a trade.
Oh, Spectre. He's dead,
He
unfortunately.
is dead. 2 versus 3.
Emo and Diesel. If there's any duo that can do it, it's probably these two. A lot of experience between them, and they've been in these positions before. They'll be able to
Have recovered their diffuser.
try and trade this out. If Diesel can find a free pick here, it could be winnable, but unfortunately, Emo is dropped in the process. So it's a 1-on-2. Make that a 1-on-1. It's a triple for Diesel. Jack Daddy, where is he located? How is he going to win this round? He's sneaking up from behind. Diesel has absolutely no idea. He's going to try and stick this player. Jack Daddy will wide swing. Surely finds the pick. He does. Defenders win round number 5.
Telling you guys, it's the comeback. Telling you.
No, it's not.
Well, if they win this final round of the half, they do make it at least 3-3.
If Okami win this map, I'll shave my melt off for tonight.
Just the map, not even the series. I like that. I'll take that bet.
Yep.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Just a replay here for the 5th round.
10 seconds to go.
And a good little patience game from Jack Dad. Well, definitely more than ever. Now I'm definitely rooting for Okami.
Alrighty, dining room and kitch.
Defenders
Let's
protect
finish
the
off this
bomb
half.
from
Let's
being
see if
defused by
Okami can even out the scoreline and threaten my Mo from being shaved off. Probably should be anyway, but
I
that's
tell you
not the
what,
point.
if they win the map, you shave the mo off. If they win the series, you also shave your hair off.
just do the full manic, just like shave all the hair
Yeah.
off. I don't think I'd go
I'll tell
that
you
far.
what, if
I mean,
they
I
do
need a
it, I'll
haircut,
join you.
but-
Well, I'll join you if they do it. They're not
Alright.
going to do it, but
All right, I'll hold you to that.
yeah.
That also means I need to wake up earlier tomorrow to actually shave my hair off. That's you're asking a lot of me here, but that's how confident I am that Okami will not win this series. But happy to be proven wrong. Always happy to be proven wrong.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
First time we're going to be heading to kitchen dining for Villa. So obviously we saw Aviator games 3 times. Finally though, Okami were able to get it 3rd time's the charm. And because of that, they've won 2 rounds in a row. They get an opportunity to make it 3-3 at the half. But we'll of course have to see what their attack is going to be like up against Wildcard's defense, and that's where I think we can both agree that's where this might just fall away. Good little turnaround, and I do like to see that, at least for their own mindset. Haven't dropped their heads, haven't given up, fighting to the end.
Cutie's been spotted in this position. He's in a nice, comfortable position as that, roaming off site, but he does have Pat and Vinny, I believe, trying to hunt him down, cutting off the rotates from those positions. Geo as well, down below, making sure that no one's roaming there. He's actually watching that through a punch hole. So that's quite dirty, but no one is playing down below. Pat, meanwhile, gets caught off guard by Cutie inside of the library position, or the living position rather, and he's actually able to just sit there. So no one from Wildcard in a position to refrag that out. A potential oversight, and that does give the man advantage once again to Okami. And every time Okami have gotten that opening frag, they've actually been able to convert the round.
It's happening. At least for the first half. At least for this first half, they've been able to turn things around, and they've... I mean, at the very least, they're going to take momentum into the second half. Obviously, still got a minute and 18 seconds to go in this one, and to be quite frank, if Wildcard do end up winning this round from a 4-5 advantage or disadvantage to make it 4-2, then I think they'll quickly steamroll the second half. But Okami do hold on here. Vinny just sees one peek out for a second. Isn't able to capitalize. 55 seconds left. Epi-Style getting involved and does take out Geo. Vinny trying to win this trade, but he does fall short to Epi-Style. Coming up big for Okami. Joker 2. And all of a sudden, the last couple of rounds have just been so clean.
Yeah, Good end to the half. Even it out. Okami able to bring that one back. It came off the back of some more aggressive early round play where they're able to get those opening picks and convert those 2-round wins. The question now really is how strong will Okami be on the attack? We know that Wildcard is again as relentless on their defense as they are on the attack. So provided Wildcard don't give those early picks away for free, which I'm sure they won't, they should be in a great position to close it out.
Is it hard to get excited here, guys? Because of the fact that we're heading over to Wildcard's defense. I mean, 3-round wins in a row. I mean, for those who've maybe just tuned in, or at least just to recap it, I mean, Clubhouse 7-3 in the first map to Wildcard. It was quite convincing. And then to start Villa, you're up 3-0. You can kind of see where maybe the ball was rolling a little bit. I mean, they had won 10 to 3 maps in this best of 3. But since then, 3 in a row to Okami, which, for the record, they didn't even at least get 2 in a row at all on Clubhouse. So to get 3 in a row to close out the half, whether it's attack or defense, who cares? It's a good result. And we've got a tied scoreline here. In saying that, we did see, of course, on Clubhouse, what was it, a 3-2 rehost. And then from that point, it was 4-1 to Wildcard. We got ourselves another rehost. This time it's 3-3, though.
Yeah, again, it's really difficult at this halfway point to draw conclusions as to how the rest of the map will play out because the dynamic literally completely changes because Wildcard now have the beauty of being on the defense, and Villa most of the time can be defender sided. There is the occasional match which can be heavily attacker sided, but the fact that it's Wildcard's map pick, you would really hope for their sake that it would lean into the defense heading into this second half. It was really just a slip up, I feel, in the last few rounds, giving away that early pick for free. Wildcard would normally be trading that out, but unfortunately we're unable to. And then that did sort of snowball Okami's confidence in those rounds to close them out. So I don't think we're going to see something similar here on the defense. They should be able to play a little bit more conservative if they feel like that's the way they want to approach it, not give away that early pick and start building these rounds back up. And I don't think it's going to be impossible for them to probably win, 3 rounds, 4 rounds straight and get that match point quite quickly.
I just want to know, since we're 3-3, how's the Mo feeling? Is it a bit scared?
Well, look, you asked me a little bit earlier if I was getting excited for this matchup. I don't think I'm going to be excited at all in this matchup. Probably just a little bit scared for the Mo. Hope that it doesn't have to depart me. Look, I'm still confident in Wildcard. I'm still confident.
Well, look, I agree. I'm still confident as well. I'm excited, though, that we've at least got ourselves a bit of a map here, at least for the time being. In saying that, I mean, Okami have got on a bit of a roll, and it can certainly transition at the cross of a half. When you're at least finished strong defensively, you can translate that to your attacking half as well. Come out swinging. Understand that really what's to lose at this point, At the worst case scenario, I guess you just drop down to the lower bracket, right? So it's not even like you're eliminated. So you don't have to play super safe cautious. If you want to play a bit sloppy or try and mix things up a bit, catch Wildcard off guard, why not? Go for it. It could work. It could be the difference maker. And right now, I think Okami are just playing like they got nothing to lose. And that's what the last 3 rounds has certainly gotten them.
Yeah, again, if we want to bring up the broader context of this matchup, this is actually I mean, if you want to look at it from a more global perspective, more important for Wildcard than it is Okami, right? If Wildcard win this, they lock in their position in the Oceanic Major. They are the only team in Oceania that can actually get enough points if they win the Major to make 6 Invitational 2021. Whereas if Okami, for example, were to win the Major, they won't actually get enough points, and neither will Wildcard for that matter. So there is that lingering for Wildcard, but I don't think they're really letting it affect them too much, at least not in the early stages of the playoffs here. Again, they do have the safety of the lower bracket, but they'll be looking to just cruise through the upper. So far, so good. Yes, the last 3 rounds have been a little bit iffy, but that's pales in comparison to how dominant they've really been, not only in this season, but even this matchup this afternoon across the board's been pretty strong, to be honest. Definitely.
I mean, how am I meant to argue with that? I I mean, I said what 7-3, 7-3 wouldn't be good for Okami. In terms of Villa, 7-5 would be a great result, I think, just to at least have, especially on Wildcard's map pick as well. You can't really forget about that too. 7-5 would probably be a decent little result. Overtime would be good, and obviously if they can actually win the map, that would bode very well. Even if they then lose the third map, if they win Villa, it probably in my eyes makes them clear-cut favorites for being able to compete against Wildcard in the grand final and go the distance, even if they obviously will in fact then drop down below. So there's a bit on the line here, as you mentioned, especially looking further afield to the OCE major, for instance, which, look, if I'm Wildcard, I'm not really probably thinking about that because it is far away. You got to focus on this. And they're obviously up a map anyway. So, I mean, they're probably not sweating too much, right? You're already up a map. You just got to close out these next 4 rounds and you're through.
Alrighty, we're back in the game. Let's go. Aviator and Games will be the first side of choice for Wildcard. Pretty typical lineup pre-board here. A lot of bulletproof utility, Malusi, Maestro, some shields, the Omega combo. So this will be a headache for Okami to deal with. Again, we're not expecting Wildcard to bring anything too insane in terms of setup. It's looking pretty default with the rotates between sides. Pretty default. Reinforcements being put up as well. So not a whole lot to read into here. It's going to come down, I feel, to how Okami tried to approach the site. We saw Wildcard, for the most part, try and map clear, in fact, over from bedroom. Okami might do something similar, or maybe they'll just try and fully send it in towards study. Of course, that does open up the opportunity for Wildcard to capitalize on a more one-dimensional push, but maybe that forceful gunfight heavy meta that Okami like to enact could actually work here. Time will tell.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
How much is riding on this particular round, though, for Okami's chances to win this map? Because you get off to a good start, 4-3. Winning a site as well that Wildcard apparently were able to win quite comfortably as well on their own attack.
Does look like Okami are actually going to dedicate pretty heavily here to study, so it's probably the more risky strategy, especially against the likes of Wildcard, who have probably seen this attack time and time again and are confident against it. I do like the fact that Okami are draining below. That indicates to me that maybe they'll send someone down there to provide some disruption, maybe establish some verticality as well, and clear out some of these players in more comfortable positions. But again, that's not going to be exactly easy. You have the likes of Pat on the main stairs who are trying to prevent these players from pushing up. In fact, he also has a shield behind him as well, or in front of him rather. So much utility to deal with. Shield taken down. Specker tries to find that pick, but is unable to. That said, though, decent control obtained early round here by Okami, and they have half the round to work with now to try and start getting the walls open towards site.
Time to make a new door.
Minute and a half remaining to open the second half of the second map.
A bomb has been located.
Yeah, Jack Dad getting plenty of vision there with that drone onto Diesel. They are surrounding right now. 3 on one side, 2 on the east side there. Gas canister's going to go out. The Diesel's really just going to cop it from both sides here at some point. Geo, Pat, Emeron, you'd think at some point will obviously pop in and look for a retrade.
Yeah, it's up to the hard breaches now really to get to work and create these entry points. And it looks like Joker might be able to make it through that breach, but if there's only one, Wildcard can surely just watch it and make sure that no one filters through. That said, Ippy style peeks through, and in fact isn't contested. Makes it all the way deep in towards the bar, and the call's too late onto Diesel, who is shut down. Emorin trades one back though. Trades coming through left, right, and center, leaving it all up to Pat, who has found one, but needs to find 3 more. Position is revealed in classical hallway, and Specker will shut him down. Okami to take the round.
Well. 4 rounds in a row for Okami. I mean, I know you don't have the stats in front of you, guys, but gee, I would love to know what was the last team to win 4 rounds in a row against Wildcard. That probably doesn't happen very often. And the fact that they've been able to get the attacking round win as well on Aviator Games, forcing already Wildcard, like, you know what, whatever, we'll go stats trophy. 4-3. From 3-0. It's just
Attackers
staggering.
need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
A lot of it also has to, in terms of credit, go to probably Ippy Style. It was one we sort of touched on earlier on in the series as not maybe having much of an impact. And I know at least I was sort of hyping up Specker in those first 3 rounds. And others have stood up. And that's been the difference. The first couple of rounds, I mean, they weren't good by any stretch of the imagination, but it was Specker. Specker was like 6-0 and 2 in those first 3 rounds, but no one else really got going. Now you got the Ippy Style finding frags. Joker's been huge as well. So there's multiple players now on the side of Okami
5 seconds left before
have
insertion.
stood up, and it's been a large reason why they've got right back in not only the map, but maybe the series.
Maybe. What will Wildcard have in response? They've at least changed up the site. They've also set up for a closet hold here. So 3 ADS devices, the castle as well on the board. Question is, will Okami be able to clear it quickly? Of course, Thatcher's banned, so that's not really an option. They'll be forced to burn it with flash grenades and other projectiles, and Diesel, in the meantime, can sort of just chill out and wait for that push to finally come through. We'll see 1 ADS burnt. I believe that's 2 ADSs burnt. Maybe it'll be 3 quite quickly. So this is good efficiency so far from Okami. Diesel will be aware of that. Needs to be careful he doesn't get naded.
Well, Okami are the aggressors now, for sure. Wildcard are responding to this, but right now haven't been able to respond successfully.
Oh no.
They make it 5 in a row. Diesel's just going to burn out. Nothing he can do. Opening frag for Okami. They got the advantage. The nade as well. What is going on, Guz?
Yeah, a little bit
Hello,
concerning
Guz?
here. A little bit I mean, I'm speechless. I mean, it was really clear, really clean. Utility clear there from the attackers, and Okami, with a clear man advantage now, should be able to convert the round. Wildcard forced a long way offside. Emo in though finds one back. That's the sledge taken down. Ippy Style is also quite low on HP, and if Vincia can actually connect to the C4 as well, that could be huge. He actually and that could come up big later when Okami try and head themselves in towards the site.
Wildcard certainly with their backs up against the wall for the first time since maybe the start of the season, where they did get off a little bit sluggish. Chokers, I guess who? The 2 names I mentioned at the start of this round. It's Joker and it's Ippy Style, and right now it's Okami.
Alrighty, 3-5. Jeez, okay. Didn't expect to be in this position, but yeah. Solid.
Are you going to shave it live?
Oh, no. No, I definitely will not be shaving it live. I will not be shaving it at all because Wildcard will win this map, so we don't have to worry about that. But if by an off chance Okami win, I'll probably shave it. I think I'll shave it tonight. What about that?
I like that. That works.
Well, it actually depends. If Okami win the series, then I need to time it with shaving my head as well. So
That's true.
I gotta leave enough time here, you know.
Oh, wow. Look, a long way to go until at least that conversation in terms of winning the series. But in terms of winning the map, I mean, rightfully, it's something that needs to be spoken about now. 3-5. Okami have won 5 in a row from 3-2 deficit. And again, you know, I think when it was 3-0, maybe we sounded a little defeatist. And that was mainly just due to the fact that in the first map, 7-3, Wildcard had stormed, you know, 4 in a row or something. They had made it almost like 6 or 7 in a row. It was like 7 of the last 8 was going Wildcard's way over the 2 maps. So it was, and we weren't really seeing in-game enough from Okami besides Specker to suggest they could turn it around. Well, they have, to their credit, turned it right around. And they got a chance to get match point now if you can find a way to get what will be round number 6 in a row against Wildcard.
Jammer ready to activate.
Wildcard, to their credit, have switched up the site once again, so we're in kitchen.
I'm dry.
That means all 3 of the main sites will be tried and tested by Wildcard, and we'll have to see if one of these at least stick. Otherwise, yeah, Okami will be on match point. It's felt like a pretty consistent performance so far from Okami on these attacks across the board. No one player really massively stepping up. It just feels like a solid unit working together, and Wildcard just struggling a little bit here and there to win those ones and maybe giving away some of those early picks, which I highlighted earlier they needed to try and avoid. That said, though, they haven't given away a pick just yet. We see Pat inside of dining. We often see him playing the pulse in this position. Communication, of course, is key, and Wildcard loves to use that communication. Gio's going to know full well there's a player coming down these stairs straight away, and if he wins this one, that opens up the round. He does. Cutie taken off the board, and Pat will say thank you very much for that. C4 comes out, does a little bit of damage, I believe.
Yep.
But doesn't quite get the kill.
Yeah, half health on Jack Dad there from that C4. Could have been worse, and he had the diffuser too, so could have been real worse. Knew that as well because of Pat, obviously, as we'd been seeing on the pulse. Now, though, Gio does actually die to Specker, who just can't be stopped in this series. 3-5. Overall, of course, it's 4-4 in game at the moment. Minute and 8 seconds. Vinny has slowed down. Really, a lot of members of Wildcard have slowed down a bit. Got to find a bit of form and try and get back into this because it's slipping away round by round.
Setting nitro cell.
At the very least, they're not at a disadvantage. It feels like for the first time in a while. And as soon as I say that, now they've got an advantage again. Pat kills Joker. They take out Specker. That's a big pick considering what he has been able to do in clutch moments. Ippy Style's still around, but never mind. Takes a quick shot from Diesel, and Wildcard can just breathe a little sigh of relief here because they've got one back and they've stopped the run of Okami.
Yeah, much better there from Wildcard. They got the first pick. They dictated the terms of that round and the pacing in which it played out. Yes, it was a nice trade out quite quickly, in fact, on from Specker onto Gio, but they didn't quite deal well enough with the key players on side. I mean, Pat was still there feeding information. He also got a C4, I'm assuming, off the back of the heartbeat sensor as well. Players like that are obviously critical in helping keep these defenses strong, and unfortunately, Okami just unable to deal with that effectively. That said, now we're going to see Wildcard rotate back to AVG. They lost it last time. If Okami can replicate that form again, try and get that opening pick and find themselves in this round, they will head to match point and reapply that pressure once again.
Well, it's certainly game on, and that's really what we wanted more than anything. We didn't want to see a stomp. We didn't want to see a 7-0, or even a 7-3 for that matter. We got ourselves a match. We got ourselves a game. And Wildcard have got themselves a bit of competition, and that's really, when you think about it, really good for them. That they do have to just sort of buckle down a bit, make sure that they play at 100%. They can't just walk around and expect it to happen. Expect Okami to slip up and make constant mistake after mistake, which, well, certainly in the last couple of rounds they have not done. So, in saying that, you do get the feeling that now that this sort of magical Disney-like run has been stopped, is that it? Is that the end of it? Is Wildcard now just going to sweep them aside and win this 7-5?
Maybe. Wildcard adopting a pretty similar setup to the last time they held AVG, so if Okami can dismantle it once, I don't see why they couldn't really do it again. I mean, you've still got Pat mainstairs with the shield Geo as well. Rome, though, on the cards here for Vinny down below. Important that he doesn't give away his life. Ippy Style is probing downstairs as well, but Vinny will avoid that line of sight, head back up the red stairs, and it's really no harm done. Everyone for Wildcard, or at least close by. 2 minutes left on the board. Not a whole lot done by Okami so far. Again, they're just gathering intel at the moment. They're droning out below quite critically, and that's important. They probably did see Vinny before. If they don't have confirmation that he's back on site, they're probably just making sure that it is clear and setting up those drones for the flank. It's a full study push. So the flanks don't really need to be watched that intently, of course, outside of the main stairs. But as you can see, that is being held pretty strong at the moment.
Dark loaded.
That was a little tickle onto Pat. All right, nothing life-threatening. Although that might be onto Geo. Does have to fall away. Ippy will find the opening frag out of Vinny. Pat's not moving though. He's expecting to push up on the stairs, looking to capitalize on the Geo. Oh, just as he moves away, no, never mind. He's looking to try and retrade. Specker took out Diesel, so Pat had no choice but to push up the stairs. Specker makes it 2 versus 5. Imarin and Geo. Geo's gone. It's Specker. He's got 3. Imarin gets 1 and will get a second as well onto the unsuspecting Jack Dad.
Oh,
He'll get
no.
a 3rd one onto Specker as well. Shuts down the main man. He's looking for the ace and he's looking for the round win. Cutie full health. Ippy style, well, I guess you could breathe on him and he'd fall over.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
Imarin on the Maestro looking to come up big, but he can't stop Cutie. And you know what it means now, Guz. What is it? Say it.
Match point. Woo!
Yep.
Yeah.
It's Mo point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand the thought process behind attempting that brown stairs hold again. It didn't really work the first time, and it got dismantled probably even further this time with the Capital. That alone was enough to burn out Geo, and then Pat was left stranded, essentially pinched out in the end, and it didn't waste a whole lot of time or utility, which I'm assuming is the thought process behind dumping so much defensive utility there. So I don't know. They're going to go AVG again. Will they attempt that same shield setup? I'd probably say no, but maybe they'll reinforce it even further. I'm not sure.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
Match point for Okami. I can't even remember what is the deciding map because I never thought we would even get there.
Coastline.
Coastline, that's right. Which that will be exciting.
ADS deployed and ready to go. ADS deployed and ready to go. You will hiding close.
Ten seconds left before insertion. 5 seconds left. Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Entry denial active.
Stun grenade. Reloading! Drone activated.
Stay clear of the blast zone. We are protected. Swapping back.
A bomb has been located.
Hunters next.
Drone ready. Loading dart.
Attackers have located a bomb. Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser. Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Perimeter defense active. Dart loaded.
Attackers dropped the diffuser. Attackers recovered the diffuser. 15 seconds remaining. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds to go.
But Cutie will be shut down. Wildcard will hang on for another round.
Oh. We were just moments away from that Mo going, and I was getting so excited. Geo comes up big for Wildcard right when they needed him. 5-6. It's still match point for Okami. They got one more match point, but if this goes OT, just wonder if they let a crucial opportunity slip to just dent the ever-present Wildcard. We go to Dining Kitchen. We go to round number 12.
Oof. The Mo is still intact, at least for now. Wildcard need to win one more round to head it to OT. That last one was a little bit sketchy towards the end. For the most part, it was positive, right? They had the 5-on-4. They were sitting inside, looked pretty comfortable, but the second that Okami flicked that switch and went for the execute, it all turned a little bit downhill. Geo came up clutch though, found the last few kills, and that was all she wrote in that round. We head back now, of course, to Kitchen and Dining. Not really a whole lot of success for Wildcard to fall back on here, and or is there? Did they win this
10 seconds
defense?
left before insertion.
No, they did not. Did they? I don't know. I feel like the track is broken, so I'm just not going to rely on that, and I'm not going to rely on my memory because that is also
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
pretty bad, to be honest.
Can we just go back to no casters? Thanks.
Yeah, that's why we got muted. That's why we got muted in the first place.
No, but look, it's been an awesome round to watch, awesome match to watch. Clubhouse was very one-sided. It obviously goes without saying. But Okami have thrown everything at Wildcard, and to Wildcard's credit, they have been able to take that everything and now sort of fight back themselves a bit here. Opening frag is just so important, though. It's like, what, 2 rounds in a row now that Wildcard have been able to have that advantage. Pat on the pulse is certainly going to help that out and has been very impactful with the pulse in a few of these defensive rounds. Knows where one is. Could see for it. Or maybe not. 2 minutes on the clock. Round 12. Wildcard win this, they send it to overtime and can just breathe a little bit.
We see Pat again inside of Dining. We saw him play this position earlier to gather a lot of intel for his team, and he's doing it again. So Cutie, Jack Daddy, and Joker, they've all been spotted by the Pulse. Wildcard will be fully aware of their presence above, and the likes of Vinny, who are contesting that position, have some confidence to back themselves in holding it and making sure that they aren't caught off guard. I believe there's also some support there from Geo. It is at the top of the Astro stairs. We even see Emo in above it as well. So this is going to be quite tricky for Okami to clear. How much time will they dedicate to it? I'm not too sure, but Ibisal does get the first pick, and Vinny's now in a very, very scary position. He needs to try and find the trade, and does. Diffuse it down. Can't quite find the second, but it's being traded out left, right, and center. C4 is being thrown out as well. Leaves it in a 3-on-3 with a minute to go.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
Yeah, but Ibistal's quite low in this 3 versus 3. As you said, though, a minute to go. Bit of time still remaining for Okami to make their way through. Next kill, so important. Give either side just that advantage. No C4 for Pat. Just information. Diesel, how many gas canisters potentially? Geo, though, does blow up Cutie with that information from Pat. And the round is falling away from Okami, and just maybe the map is falling away from Okami. Nice little 360 drop down from Jack Dad. Didn't quite get the style points that he would have wanted. Does have the diffuser, but oh, this is as tough as it really comes, isn't it? 14 seconds left. He's got the Banshee in front of him as well. Geo caps it off with a headshot kill, and we do head to overtime.
Never in doubt, really, was it? Never looked like Okami was going to close us out. Surely not. In all seriousness, though, good little comeback there from Wildcard. And again, it really just encapsulates their mental fortitude. We've seen them in similar positions in the past before in important games, and they are one of those teams that are never gone until the match is over or the rounds have been gathered by Okami.
Gathered?
Yeah, I'm running out of words. It's been a long day. I had an iced coffee before this match started. It's already starting to wear off. This is we're on dire straits here in the casting booth, but we will push on, just like Okami will push on, because they have to win this map.
Well, this is Wildcard special. Fighting back even the slightest of adversity, they just seem to deal with it. Well, we've seen a couple of times this season too where they've had some crazy comebacks. At one point when they're down like 5-1 in a particular game and then they send it to OT. Something crazy. You can never count them out, and not like we did really, but the Okami hype train
you did
certainly.
A little bit.
No,
No, you did a little bit.
The Okami hype train.
You're being a little bit of
station.
an Okami fanboy for a little bit there, but that's okay.
Only because I want to see that Mo go. So I got my reasons. But look, Wildcard have been great to watch, and honestly, Okami have been great to watch too.
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
Well, it's crunch time now. OT, Wildcard starting on the defensive side, which is probably going to be favourable. Geo thinks about the early C4, but does think better of it in the end. How aggressive will these teams get? Ippy's style, I think, was getting quite aggressive there on the first floor. Geo needs to be careful. He doesn't get shot from behind. Emo needs to be careful. He doesn't get shot from below, but Ippy's style will clean that one up. Good frag to open things up. Unfortunately, Pat DCs as well.
Man.
No rehost, of course, after the first engagement. So this is going to be a 3-on-5.
Well, this is the best start Okami could have asked for in the overtime portion. 3 versus 5, 2 minutes as well. So much time to just like play this patiently. Don't throw away any lives. Clear everything you can think of. Geo just getting a bit antsy backstairs, maybe looking to peek this one. It does successfully onto Specker. That was a big kill.
No.
Diesel also follows it up with 1-2. And from 3 versus 5 guys, it's now 3 versus 3.
They all rush in towards Kitchen. Diesel, unfortunately for him, does quite hit the mark with the C4, and that plant should be secured. It is. Geo's flanking up the stairs, though. This could be huge.
Oh!
Manages to find them both. Vinny finds the last as well. How have Wildcard won this round? It was a 3-on-5. What? That is insane.
Defender mission successful.
They're like both walking down the stairs, but they're both looking back behind them. Oh no. Oh, that ain't it. That ain't it. Wow, that's a little bit demoralizing too for Okami. And technically now, right, overtime match point, and from this point onwards, Wildcard just need one more round. It's been a incredibly valiant effort from Okami, but maybe guys, has it all just come a little bit unstuck here in OT?
Wow, that was quite the round to unpack. So, unfortunately, Pat DC'd after Wildcard lost a pick. So it was literally a 3-on-5. Then Geo hits the blind pre-fire around the corner and finds one. Then you have Diesel trying to hold off 3 guys rushing in towards the side and was unsuccessful. And then Geo comes out of nowhere and just sprays them down.
Oh.
I don't think anyone had any idea what's going around. Never mind me. So
No, exactly.
wow, quite impressive. And Wildcard, they're 1 round away from closing it out.
It's been an intriguing series, I'll tell you that much. Like, look, this could very well be the grand final matchup potentially. There's a big chance for that. You know, it did happen for Six Masters playoffs a couple months ago. So, if these are the matches that we do see more of between Okami Wildcard, we could have ourselves a bit of an interesting grand final. But you know, Clubhouse was 7-3, now it's 7-6. Yeah, it's been a very good effort from Okami. Definitely wanted to see that Mo go, but I think all good things do come to an end, and unfortunately, I think at this point, Wildcard will be able to get at least one of the two. Might be 8-7, or it's going to be 8-6, one or the other, guys.
Yeah, I'd have to back you on that. When you've got defense in OT in most cases, it's probably going to be favorable. Villa, no exception. And yes, you could make the argument that it was pretty balanced considering Wildcard actually went 3-3 on their defenses. But in OT, when it comes to crunch time, defense is where you really want to be in most cases and on most maps. So I'm sure they'll be quite comfortable, especially considering the fact that they literally just won that round out of nowhere. They had no right to win that. Okami in a 5-on-3 should be closing that out. So demoralizing really for Okami. They'll have to ponder upon that a little bit during this rehost. Hopefully it doesn't get to them too much because they'll be heading on to the defense now. Of course, it switches each round. So there is every chance that they even it out 7-7. It's not done by any stretch now.
Well, no. I mean, obviously not. It's just one of those really tricky situations where, okay, they're on defense, they win this round, they make it 7-7, but then you've got to get that attacking round win, and obviously that's going to be a bit more difficult. And saying that, they obviously, in terms of the second half before OT, they started extraordinarily well on their attack. So it's not as if they're incapable of winning on attack. And if anything, in sort of an overtime manner, I can imagine Okami just throwing something crazy, like some sort of blitz attack onto Wildcard and catching them off guard potentially, and maybe they take it out 8-7 and we go to a third map. That's the interesting thing out of all of this, is that there's a third map waiting here if Okami do in fact win it. Otherwise, then we're done. If Wildcard do close this one out here on Villa, they move forward. And obviously Okami drop down to the lower bracket where they will potentially play either LFO or Pittsburgh tomorrow. So there's so many different pathways this point onwards, from this rehost onwards, that we can take. Lots of forks in the roads, guys. And yeah, all I can say is that very much Okami performing a lot better here on Villa than I thought they would, and I think than you thought they would.
Yeah, I mean, if we match these two teams up at the very start of the season, the form that they were in, this may have been even more one-sided towards Wildcard because Okami did look so weak. I think it does show the fact that Okami have progressed quite well in the last couple of weeks. You would have thought that up against Wildcard on their map pick, this would be pretty damn one-sided, but in fact they've actually taken it further than Clubhouse, so maybe that's an indication that picking Clubhouse probably wasn't the go. I'm not too sure, but either way, it's been solid. Again, as we sort of alluded to earlier, it's important that Okami actually learn something from this if they don't win it, because if they do match up in the grand final, they need every piece of intel possible to actually be able to beat them.
Well, this is it. Final chances, final moments. I mean, Okami already had their chances. They had 2 match points, 2 regular match points. Wildcard were able to win both of those and send it to OT, and now it's 3 rounds in a row that Wildcard have now won. So they've responded in style after Okami won 6 in a row, or 5 in a row actually, but 6 of 7.
Yep. Can they win this round though? That's the big question. Pressure mounting. They lose this, they head down to the lower bracket. Of course, then they'll verse the loser of the Pittsburgh Knights and LFO match, which I'm sure will be a pretty spicy one. No idea who will come out on top of that. I feel like a Okami Pittsburgh game would actually be quite close, but who knows? This season overall has been pretty damn hard to predict, so it could be anyone's game on any day, to be completely honest.
Wildcard on the attack, Okami on the defense. Wildcard win this, they win the series. So technically they will have 2 match points, since both get match point at 7-7. 2 chances for Wildcard.
Airdrop planted.
Is Specker once again going to be, though, the difference maker, as we've seen here throughout Villa? So impressive. Ippy Styles also been so much better on Villa. Geo, just wandering out backstairs, will get Joker, and that opening frag does spell demise for Okami. They've not been able to do well when they're down a player. Geo watching from behind. There's at least one back, though, from Specker. Of course, it's Specker.
Yeah, Specker's had a pretty good afternoon. He's been clicking heads with some decent efficiency, and he's really been stepping up for Okami. There's been probably a few rounds where if he hadn't stepped up, Okami probably wouldn't be in the position that they are. In this round, no exception. A pretty clean trade back to a 4-on-4. And unfortunately, Geo won't be able to use those nades to great effect. And there might still be some utility that needs to be dealt with here for the attack, and that will make that a little bit more challenging. That said, there's still plenty of other utility to work with. We see Vinny with those Ash charges down below, trying to get some vert. And there's Somers now will be able to be breached. That said, Jack Daddy's also in a position to counter that. But in fact, it was actually placed quite low. So that's a foothold to cut off the rotate over towards Astro. Well played there from the attack, and Wildcard again just confidently setting up these positions early.
Bomb located
Early.
by
You
attackers.
got like 50 seconds remaining in the round.
By Wildcard standards.
Well, yeah, to be fair, by Wildcard standards, they've got like another 30 seconds to run around and chill and do nothing. Emmerin now just pushing into master bathroom. 4 versus 4. 35 seconds left here. Match point Wildcard. Can they get this frag through Emmerin? They can. He is successful onto Cutie. Pat's now going to repel in as well, but there are at least frags back now in favor of Okami, giving them a 3 versus 2 advantage. Pat as well stepping into that goo mine. And there's only 17 seconds left. Diesel does have the diffuser in hand. Time of the essence. Okami looking to send this one to 7-7. Pat will get Specker, but Ippy Style for the refrag. Diesel does swing out though, gets one back onto Ippy Style, but prone on the floor. Jack Dad sends us to 7-7. We have one final round of Villa.
Whew, it's been a little bit of a marathon here. It's been a long map. Full distance Wildcard. Now back onto the defense. They win this round. They win the series 2-0. If they lose it, Okami, of course, take the map and will head over to Coastline.
Go.
There was a small part of me that thought that was going to go the way of Wildcard, particularly late round. The trading was quite strong,
5
but
seconds remaining.
it was really well played there in the end by the likes of Jack Daddy. Diesel with no option but to try and hunt down that kill, and it was always going to be a tough one. AVG Xenox, it's going to be the site.
Attackers need to locate and
We've seen a lot of AVG.
they can.
Wow,
We
wait.
have seen a lot. We have seen a lot of it. Certainly the most common sight on Villa in this matchup. And you just have to wonder, where was this Carmion Clubhouse? Like, Clubhouse, they were so... like, you look up Turtle in a dictionary and you'll find their picture of them sitting on Clubhouse basement. And it's basically what Okami did for the most part. Not really giving us much there, but on Villa, they've stepped up and... well, they've basically matched Wildcard, toe for toe, shot for shot, round for round, sight for sight. It's 7-7. It couldn't get any closer than this.
Attackers' objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
And you just wonder, they potentially win this in this round. Can they maybe then steal Coastline and cause one of the biggest comebacks in Siege ANZ history, really, from the point they were down?
Maybe. I think it's really going to come again down to who gets this first pick. It feels like almost every round has been dictated by that early round pace. I don't know why Geo and Pat are still dedicating to this mainstairs hold. It's felt like on every occasion it has been torn apart quite efficiently by Okami. Maybe this round will somehow be different. Wildcard will get in their face a little bit and maybe try and be more proactive in denying those explosive denials. But you can already see a minute into the round, they're feeling the pump a little bit. If Pat maybe gets aggressive to find a pick here, it could open things up. But I'm expecting this to play out how we've seen it similarly the last few rounds.
2 minutes to decide who's going to win Villa. At this point, I don't even know who deserves it. I mean, Wildcard have been better over the 2 maps, but Okami have maybe been better here on Villa. Definitely hard to say they've been better on a map when it's still 7-7. Pat's low. Right now, all things considered, Okami do have the slightest of advantages just based on Pat's health, and that's really about it. It's not much to go off, but it's something. Minute and a half remaining, and he's just going to get pushed all the way back down this hallway.
It's a risky peek, but doesn't get taken out. Geo can actually reinforce the wall. I believe there's an attacker right there as well. Pat's still trying to spray down that location. Everyone from Okami stacked at the top of these main stairs. This could either go really well and they're able to trade it out, or they will just be absolutely mowed down. Question is, what can they do to disrupt Wildcard? They're running around a little bit in sight. They look a little bit dazed, a little bit confused, but still strong nonetheless. And without a pick on the board here for Okami, their chances of winning this round grow smaller and smaller.
The way they're positioned right now is so they're just positioning for the refrags once Okami start running in and basically shooting everyone. Nice little swing from Diesel, but unsuccessful with a shotgun. He's going to try again. Maybe those X-Kairas are going to go off now. And now he's just trying to pressure and just buy even more time. But if he peeks that and dies, he's not going to get a refrag option. Cutie does get one. There's a second found through Joker. It's about to happen. We're going to Coastline. Maybe. Still a bit more time to be played, though. And Geo does eliminate Joker. 3 still up for Wildcard. They've got the health. They make it a 3 versus 3. Maybe, just maybe, we're not going Coastline. Might have just got ahead of myself there. The big Diesel at the right time. Couldn't quite get the elimination. Jack Dad, Cutie, both so low. 10 seconds left. They're not even going to be able to get onto the side. The refrag, though, from Cutie does have the diffuser in hand. 1 versus 1 remaining. A triple kill from Cutie. Now to clutch, get that defuse down. Vince will make the run over to Bar. He will be able to stop this one. He will stop this series and save Guzz's Mo. GG. Well played. That was a barnstormer.
Diesel, Diesel, Diesel. He does Diesel things. Massive play there to deny Okami from entering that breach with ease. And I think Specker sums that up pretty well. It was a fun game. It was a fun game to watch, and definitely gives us an indication as to how strong these teams are leading into the rest of the playoffs. Wildcard, they're looking good. They're the top of Oceania, but maybe Okami aren't that far behind.
Well, 8-7 suggests, at least on Villa, they weren't that far behind. Overall, Wildcard do take out the series 7-3, 8-7, and they do deny Okami a shot on Coastline to potentially steal this series away, and Guz, the Mo is safe.
Ah, thank God. Otherwise, I would have looked like a 12-year-old tomorrow, and that would not have been very good. It would have been funny, but not very good. And also, it means we both save our hair, because we all know if it went to Coastline and Okami won, we would have had to shave. And I know how much you love your hair. You probably love it even more than I love my hair. So that would have been pretty tragic. But yeah.
Well, I wouldn't have minded it, to be fair. We both haven't had haircuts for like 5 months. So.
That is very, very true.
It would have been something different at least. Look, what a series. Okami, to their credit, were exceptional on Villa. And they gave us something at least now where we can look at and say, okay, they're in the lower bracket, but going up against potentially LFO or Pittsburgh, well, I think they got all the chances in the world against those 2 teams after what they showed us there on Villa against Wildcard. What I will say is, though, don't know if they'll be getting Villa. Potentially, of course, if either of those 2, whoever they play next, does their homework. Because if you're taking Wildcard to 8-7 on Villa, that's something you probably want to ban out.
Yep, I would agree with that. And it was also important. It's also important to remember that that was actually Wildcard's map pick. So Okami didn't actually decide to go to Villa. So maybe that was a little bit of a blind spot for Wildcard. Maybe weren't expecting it to go that far. I'm not too sure. We could probably ask Silex in the interview shortly, but they did put up a really good fight. And that may well be an instant ban for some of the other teams like the Knights, like LFO, that may be versing them in the future.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Okami went on a 6 out of 7 round win tear against Wildcard, which again, I don't know the last team to be able to do something like that, and I think that sort of statistic would probably be a little difficult to find. Although if there's anyone out there with those sort of skills, let me know, because I'd be certainly intrigued to find out. There's Wildcard losing every now and then, but then to be beaten like that, which obviously they weren't beaten like that in the end, but it was looking like that at one point. Crazy. For Wildcard, though, I mean, I don't think anything less of them, though, from this series, right? If we're talking up Okami and we're saying, like, oh my God, that was great from Okami, blah, 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 I don't think any less of Wildcard. I don't sit back and say, well, you know, is this going to dent their chances in the finals? I don't think so at all.
Yeah, it basically sums up my thoughts at the end of the match. As I said, I still believe that they're the top in Oceania. They're still number one. It wasn't a faultless win, but it was pretty damn good. It was probably a little bit closer on Villa than they would have liked, but they crushed Okami on their map pick, and then they did ultimately get the 2-0 in the end, which matters. It doesn't matter necessarily how close the map scores are. It doesn't affect anything as long as the series score is a win, which it was. So they progress.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's not as if Okami get like half points or anything like that. Unfortunately, they just get some plaudits, some pat on the backs. We got our first interview ready though to close everything off tonight, and it is going to be Specker, who, well, I mean, mate, I just thought you absolutely popped off in this series. Firstly, for yourself, congratulations. Secondly, though, commiserations on a tough match. Overall, both maps, I guess, as a whole, but you would have, I guess, as a team, taken a lot out of that close Villa game.
Yeah, look, Villa was definitely the map to talk about. Clubhouse was not really great, to be honest. It didn't really go the way that we wanted it to. I'm sure, as you can see, a 7-3 scoreline's pretty uncompetitive, but yeah, it is what it is. Villa was pretty fun. It was a good map. Yeah, we probably came out a bit too weak on the defense to start with. We started to kind of get a little bit comfier towards the end of it. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. We couldn't pull it out, and yeah, it was a fun game though. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just want to get a little bit of an insight. Of course, for you and the team, it's been a pretty long day, right? You've played 4 maps, a lot of those going quite far as well. How do you sort of hold up in the later stages of that Villa matchup? How does that fatigue sort of affect how you're playing, or does it just not affect you at all?
Doesn't affect me personally. As a team, though, not too sure. We do BO3 scrims, and whilst we do scrim, we play out, of course, the maximum rounds that you can. You do 12 rounds, so I guess you're used to longer games. In saying that, though, 2 BO3s in one day is a bit rough, but I wouldn't attribute it to our loss. It was our own fault, you know. There's no real blame for it. It's pretty lame to do that, right? So...
Yeah. Just going back to Clubhouse, and I could be completely off the mark here, but I just felt that you guys were a little bit too in your shells a bit, a lot of turtling and not looking to make plays, whereas on Villa, especially the second half of Villa, that seemed to flip. Was that sort of the mindset for you guys too?
Sure. I guess Clubhouse is a very structured map, right? Like it's pretty standard. There's not really many kind of fun plays you can make on it. So if you don't bring a good basic kind of game plan and you don't do your default stuff, I think I got opening picks the first 3 rounds or something like that on Clubhouse. So for example, if that happens, that's a catastrophe, right? You've lost your Zafir, who's your hard breach, or not hard breach, sorry, but your soft impacts. And that happened in the opening moments of most of the rounds. But yeah, we started to bring it back a little bit on the Clubhouse, and then I guess you could say we're starting to feel ourselves a little more on that Villa. Whether that's we were feeling more comfortable. I genuinely think if this were to go to the 3rd map, we'd be feeling pretty comfy on Coastline. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, it was just, I guess, a bit unfortunate with the Villa. But I would definitely say that we were playing more aggressive and more to our own style on Villa. We had some really nice attack rounds, actually, which I'm pretty happy with. So, you know, it's not all doom and gloom around here.
No, it certainly doesn't feel like that from watching it as well. I thought you guys played fantastic on Villa, and obviously a lot of good signs to take away for the remainder of the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully we're coming in swinging for the rest of the playoffs and doing all that, and probably seeing Wildcard in the grand finals, eh?
Potentially. Of course, you got to run that gauntlet. Wish you the best of luck with that, starting, of course, tomorrow.
Someone's got to do it, mate.
Hey, you gotta have confidence. If you're gonna get there, you're gonna beat the best. And look, honestly, you know, we spoke about it a few times throughout the broadcast. It's something that is very much a big chance of happening, isn't it? And without discrediting LFO completely, it does kind of feel like it could come down to obviously Okami or Pittsburgh, and who knows where that could end up sort of going potentially in terms of who does make it to the grand final potentially. Or maybe LFO just dig deeper into the strat books and defeat Pittsburgh tomorrow. Yeah, but still, Specker was great. Thought Kami were good on Villa. Lots to take away for them, and if they do meet again in the finals, potentially they can take some confidence.
Yeah, I mean, Specker didn't seem too down in dumps, which is good to see. He's probably adopted the sort of mindset that we theory crafted, in that, yeah, you might not win it, but at least learn something from it. If you do take them on in the grand final, you know, you have that fire burning on the inside a little bit. You want to try and take them down. Finally, take down Wildcard, who have been number one for so long. And I'm sure that will be fueling them as they try and make that gauntlet run, because they have to be faultless now if they actually do want to face them again in that grand final.
We've got our second interviewee for the night, which is, of course, Silex from Wildcard, who should be pretty happy with that overall. 2-0. Nothing wrong with that one, mate. Congratulations. Obviously, Villa was a little bit closer than you would have liked.
Yeah, so series win, that's really good for us. Guarantees us our spot in the major, which was our end goal, of course. Yeah, Clubhouse went pretty well for us. Villa was a bit rough, but yeah, we got there in the end.
Yeah, I guess I want to talk about that map veto just a little bit. Were you actually expecting Clubhouse to come up at all? Never mind BO Kami's map pick, because when I saw that, I was like, that's probably going to favor Wildcard because you guys are super structured. Did that throw you off at all? I mean, obviously, probably really didn't when you look at that final scoreline, but did that affect like sort of how you prepared for this matchup at all? Or?
We had a list of maps that we thought would go through. Clubhouse was one of them. Given that we played it a few times in the during the actual season, we won them, but like we didn't show that we were playing too well on them. So maybe they would pick Clubhouse, just pick apart like where we went wrong and everything. So we had been working on it, of course, and yeah, it came up pretty well. Last time we faced them on Clubhouse, that was the Carly incident. Yeah, it was great times. But yeah, I think we did pretty well in Clubhouse in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It was pretty good.
Can you talk us through Villa, especially during the 5 round wins in a row for Kami? What was going on there, do you reckon?
Yeah, so we managed to watch their Villa match against Noble, just looking for things that they were doing, picking things out, and we had a pretty decent read on how they would play it. A lot of things went in our favor, but then when we started losing some rounds, it was just a bit slow on some parts for our attacks. And then when we got to our defense rounds, we kind of let them have free reign to use their utility and just clear us out of positions, and we weren't contesting those situations. So all their Capital flame bolts and their grenades just like got sent over to us for free. So that was just, yeah, free picks for them, which opened up the round for them. And I think another one of the rounds was it was the first defense round that we had on Aviator in games, where they just kind of pushed the breach for free. We didn't have anyone watching it. We had someone passively watching the angle, just say, hey, they're inside games now. But that was like, that call's way too late. So like minor communication issues, and in general, just not playing aggressive enough on our defense.
Well, you are going to be playing, of course, the winner between Pittsburgh Knights and LFO, I think tomorrow at some point. Best of luck in that matchup, mate, and best of luck, I guess, for the rest of the playoffs.
Thank you. See you guys.
Well, look, happy. Obviously, biggest thing you pointed out was that the OCA major. So
yep, lock them in.
It's like win right there for Wildcard, isn't it? They didn't have to go to a third map. Lock in for the major, all of these great things, and obviously moving on with the playoffs itself. So, and also win for you too. You got to keep your mo. Everyone's winning right now, except
Okami.
For Okami. There's the graphic, by the way, the bracket that we have slowly started to chip away at today. Of course, quite a few hours ago, earlier this afternoon, we did start off with Okami versus Noble. That was a 2-0. And then following that, we saw LFO take down Elevate with their beautifully deep strat book. And then, of course, as we just saw, Wildcard in a very close one on Villa, 2-0 after what was an earlier easy win on Clubhouse. So it kind of sets us up for tomorrow, though, doesn't it, guys? Which, of course, we've got Pittsburgh Knights versus LFO you would think we're going to be starting with, because it can't be Akami versus no one else. So we definitely will start with Pittsburgh versus LFO, and then of course Akami will be awaiting the loser of that game to see who they play in the lower bracket semifinals.
Yeah, and then leading on from that, of course, the winner of that matchup will be greeted by Wildcard in the upper bracket in that winners final. The winner of that, of course, then progressing straight through to the best of 5 grand final. So, I mean, yeah, today really set up a really intriguing playoffs. Unfortunate again for Noble and Elevate. Unfortunately, no second chance for them, but all the other teams are still battling it out to try and make the final 2.
Exactly right. So the winners finals, where you kind of want to be at this point, and for tomorrow, you know, Pittsburgh versus LFO, whoever can of course win that, they do head over to the winners final. They get to still keep their second chance, that if whoever does lose that winners final drops down lower final, etc. So for Akami though, of course, tomorrow it's do or die from here on out. They've got to run the gauntlet from tomorrow onwards. They will of course be watching Knights versus LFO intensely to see who they're going to be playing. I would say, guys, it's very likely it'll be LFO. I don't want to jinx that one, but
it'd be LFO.
It'll be probably LFO, yeah.
You reckon LFO is going to beat the Knights? Oh, no.
No.
Lower bracket. Yeah,
what?
I mean, look at the time, all right? It's 11:30. It's been a long day.
It has been a long day, but it's been a good day. It's been very enjoyable. And, of course, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back on Sunday. There's so much still to be played for Oceanic Nationals playoffs. Still so many storylines to play out. And I can't wait, guys.
100%. I mean, again, just summarizing today, Wildcard, well done to them. They are now locked into the Oceanic Major. They're the only team in Oceania that can make 6 Invitational if they get the points at the Major. So that is a huge tick in the box for them. Unfortunately, Noble and Elevate, they head home packing. They have to wait however many months until the season comes back next year. So that's pretty rough for them. And then all the other teams, they're battling it out to try and take down Wildcard, who is still this dominant force in OCE. So can someone take them down? That's the question. I'm not too convinced, but you never know.
It's certainly going to be a difficult task. Well, of course, that's us done for day number 1. Of course, tomorrow we will be beginning with day number 2. 2 p.m. Make sure you stay tuned in tomorrow for what's going to be another awesome day of Oceanic National Playoffs. We'll see you then.
I still want something that can last. You make me feel like I'm okay. We both know that you should feel the same. Baby, I got nothing else to do. You're talking about your best at me. Remember that you always get to choose.
Attackers are activating the bomb.
Talk to me. I just want a little bit of company. You acting like you really wanna fall for me. But baby, can you tell me who you wanna be? Talk to me. I just want a little bit of company. You acting like you really wanna fall for me. But baby, can you tell me who you wanna be? Yeah.
Attackers are activating.
Yeah, I guess you got my intention. Got no place I'd rather be. I feel like another dimension. I don't wanna talk, baby, you should let it go. I don't wanna go, let me stay a little more. Talk to me. I just want a little bit of company. You acting like you really wanna fall for me. But baby, can you tell me who you wanna be? Yeah. Talk to me. I just want a little bit of company. You acting like you really wanna fall for me. Baby, can you tell me who you want to be?